Alright. Hello. How you doing? There we go. Right. So, buckle up for just like a whole lot of reading, because that's pretty much all we've got going here. But we're a Ventru... Oh my god. A Ventru fledgling looking for a coterie. That's all we've done so far. I think most of it was the tutorial last time. And we're also very hungry. I haven't, like, drunk anyone's blood for a while, because apparently my tastes are very refined. And, I don't really know how to fix that. But I know it can lead to a game over. So, we'll see how that goes. Oh shit. The plan was to return to your haven for the day. The sun is coming up soon after all. That's not what the beast has in store for you. Yeah. The feeling of emptiness, the overwhelming famishment that takes hold of you cannot be denied or bargained with. The time when you could reason with your thirst is over. You don't remember what happens, or you don't remember how it happens exactly, but you find yourself in an alley, sucking the last drops of blood from a savage gash in a corpse's neck. You have killed somebody tonight and did it very close to your haven. Any attempts at covering up this poor soul's death become secondary when you realize that the dull glow over the city in the east is the sun coming up. You barely make it to your haven in time. You realize your clothes are a mess, torn in places, covered in blood. Your victim's blood. How many people saw you get into the building? You don't know. It was a panic sprint to escape the light. Instinct saving your skin. The same instinct that decided it was time to feed. The beast. You cannot let this happen again. You cannot ignore the hunger for as long as you did before tonight. Your humanity depends on it. See, I wasn't given the option though. So there's only specific story points where you can, I think anyway, specific story points where you can actually feed. But it kept warning us about it, but it never gave us an opportunity. It didn't give us like an option to say, hey, let's go over here so we can feed. So don't punish me for not giving me the option, game. Not long after you wake up tonight, Gregory knocks on the door of your apartment. Hey, I came to pick you up. Miss Langley wants to see you. Do you know what she needs me for? Any idea what she needs me for? Not in the position to ask. He smiles politely. Car's waiting, shall we? This is the first time Gregory has talked to us. You wrestle with the same thoughts as a few nights ago. Maybe you should just leave, disappear, let Sophie find somebody else to employ. Then you remember the anarch thug being cut down by Quadir, how close you were to the same fate, not even a week ago, and that it might still happen if you step out of line. You follow suit. As with your previous visits here, Sophie seems not entirely present when you enter. Her eyes are locked into one of the paintings in the room. You're pretty sure it was here earlier, but she's behaving as if she's seeing it for the first time in her life. Entirely entranced. Gregory clears his throat. Sophie turns to you both. A bit of irritation in her countenance that soon gives way to a pleasant, warm smile. You're here, excellent. Thank you, Gregory. Her driver leaves and she turns her attention to you. Hope you had a good few nights and made some new acquaintances, but I'm happy to say... I'm happy to see you, Amanda. Thanks for coming. The change in mood of the room is so sudden and startling, it makes you consider the true power of vampiric charisma. Rationally, you know you're being manipulated, but you don't even care. Her eyes, her motions, her entire body language all feel 100% genuine in expressing a legitimate interest in you and your well-being. I have a request for you this night. I need you to find somebody for me and make a delivery. She points to the statue at the side of the room. You notice a plain-looking flash drive lying on the edge where the inanimate archer's bow touches the pedestal. The man you'll be looking for calls himself Kaiser. He has eyes and ears all over New York, and it's rare for something to happen here without his knowledge. I'll need you to take this flash drive and bring it to him. In exchange, he will give you an address, which I need to know as soon as possible. You're about to ask what's on the drive, but Sophie proves to be one step ahead of you. Oh, don't worry about the contents. They're encrypted, a precaution for if the data falls into the wrong hands, but it won't. correct? She gives you a smile that just a handful of nights ago would make you feel like melting. Oh, and Amanda, Kaiser is a Nosferatu, that twisted, deformed lineage of kindred. He is old, and his age has made him even more paranoid than others of his clan tend to be. He holds many havens and changes them often. From what I've gathered, he or one of his servants should be found at the park on Coney Island tonight. You'll have to identify them, somehow. I'm told Kaiser has spent many of his nights... These past few years being driven around the city in a black limo. Maybe keep an eye out for it. Oh, a black limo in New York City? Oh, okay. I'm sure that'll be real easy to find. That smile again, but much shorter. Anything more you can tell him about him? He's been here a long time. About as long as I have. He got into a lot of trouble for exchanging information with both the Anarchs and the Camarilla, but ultimately got off scot-free. Kaiser's web of information proved to be strong enough to shield him from the consequences of playing both sides. Some say that's the best proof of his abilities. In any case, be careful when you talk to him. He's very particular about everyone's etiquette, except his own. Good night and good luck. She flashes one last smile at you and turns back to the painting, clearly done with the conversation. Pocket the flash drive and head outward toward Coney Island. It takes you the better part of an hour to reach the lights and sounds of Coney Island's amusement park from the city. The drive is almost pleasant this time of night. Thank God for Belt Parkway. There are plenty of people here tonight, but nobody who stands out as a traveling purveyor of secrets. Then again, if they did stand out, it would be kind of pointless, right? Nothing to do but figure out the right approach. Plenty of nooks and crannies to investigate around here, but if Kaiser frequents the area, there has to be some kind of clue to grab onto, right? You spent a good hour snooping around, eyes peeled for the black limo Sophie mentioned, or any sign that a Nosferatu or any vampire has their haven around these parts. Zilch. Annoyed, you turn back toward the lights of the amusement park, only to find a man standing in your way, wearing an oversized jacket. He had the air of a junkie or dealer about him. Who knows what he's got in his pockets? You lost? I'm looking for someone. Ever heard the name Kaiser? I'm looking for him. Nah, I don't know who that is. He's a terrible Lila. Wow, clearly full of shit. Give me your phone and go for a swim in the bay. It's a hunch. You give the simple order and the man can do little to resist. He produces his phone. It's a fancy model and doesn't look anything like anything readily available on the market. Hands it to you, turns away and starts walking. Oh, the phone's locked, but a recent smudge on the screen gives you a rough idea of what the combination might be. You get it right on the second try. There's just one number in the phone, unlabeled. You dial it and hear someone pick up. The voice is like a rusty pitchfork scraping against gravel. Ugh. Jackie, you're messing up my snuff session here. It better be something big. I have something. Have something for you from Sophie Langley. Care to come pick it up? Maybe that wasn't the right thing. Silence, not even a sound. The call ends. You try calling again, but the number is blocked. Nothing to do but wait and see if he shows up. Not 15 minutes pass before a black limo stops near where you're waiting. One door opens an invitation. The inside of the limo used to be a luxury lounge. The kind with a stripper pole and a bar full of alcohol, but it currently has none of that. Instead, there are monitors and consoles. There are dozens of displays, each one showing something different. Surveillance camera footage, stock market quotes, television news, emails, tweets, silent movies, lo-fi footage of the gory texture session. Torture session. You wonder if the limo's owner can focus on anything while surrounded by all this visual noise, and then you realize there's nobody there. Or is there? Man blinks into existence on a leather couch, attempting to maintain something that approximates a regal presence. You're 100% sure it's Kaiser. Surrounded by dimly lit computer screens, his features are even more ghastly than you imagined. All sharp angles of twisted bone, mangled flesh, and crooked teeth. He bears them all in an awful parody of a smile. Suddenly someone grabs you from behind, twists your arm, pushes your head against the car's roof. I got them, boss, I have them! Nosferatu truckles. Oh, Jesus. He doesn't look that bad. Congratulations, dickweed. Could have done that before he gave away the fucking phone. Just let them go already. But, you're going to make me repeat myself, you thick motherfucker? He lets go. You take a look at him, the man is confused and soaking wet. Flashes you an angry stare but obeys his boss's orders to the letter. What are you waiting for, a formal invitation? Get in the car, we have some talking to do. Door closes behind you. So, Langley, huh? Guessing you got something for me then? You reluctantly pull the flash drive from your pocket and slowly pass it to Kaiser. Plugs into a USB port on the arm of his chair and displays a data on one of the screens that happens to be turned away from you. Takes him about a minute to access the data. Uh-oh. Who do you people think I am? I saw this footage a week ago. He removes the flash drive and throws it back at you in disgust. Of course it wasn't going to be that simple, was it? Tell Sophie the deal's off. She wants her address, she can give me something else. I might be... Usually the older the more powerful, so I think trying to use my presence on him will just get me killed. Or laughed at. Either or. Sorry this proved disappointing to you, Mr. Kaiser. Can I do something to make it up to you? He seems genuinely impressed. Now, that's what I'd like to hear. Yeah, in fact, I was just about to mention it. I have something in mind. We'll talk again soon. You do that for me, the address is yours. Now, would you be so kind as to get the fuck out of my car? You're pretty sure you're done here. You get out, close the door behind you, and the car immediately starts backing up. The opaque windows slide past you, and soon the limo is on its way. Kaiser's lackey is nowhere to be seen, so you make your way to your car and drive back, wondering what tomorrow brings. Right, so now we can... We've done one for him, done one for her. We just need to introduce ourselves to these two now, and then we can like go about the second thing. Gumshoe in the Dark. A recent string of violent killings has the Red Hook district of Brooklyn on edge. Sophie mentioned that Qadir al-Asmai as a secret associate investigating the murders. Nosferatu neonate by the name of D'Angelo. If you help him out, he might be persuaded to form a lasting partnership. As you make your way downtown Clinton Street, the incessant hum of traffic gives way to the ominous silence of the waterfront. You stop to take in the familiar bouquet of the Hudson, made all the more potent by your recently sharpened senses. Across the basin, the Red Hook grain terminal rears its rusty frame. Once a bustling industrial area, now a sleeping giant splayed out on the riverbank, forgotten, abandoned. Conveniently so, especially for one of the hidden. Keeping to the shadows, you sneak closer to the dilapidated complex, making your way past hole-ridden silos and wobbly chain-link fences. By the time you reach the entrance to the main building, you can almost feel the rust particles making themselves cozy on the back of your throat. Not getting your hopes up, you give the door a slight nudge. To your surprise, it gives almost instantly. Looks like someone's been using it recently. Once inside, you find yourself in a large empty hall. Looking around, you can almost picture it back in its heyday, stacked to the rafters with heavy machinery. You notice a set of stairs leading to a mezzanine, most likely an office space, and then you see it. A faint light coming from one of the upper rooms. Looks like you're in luck. Quietly, with bated breath, you climb the steps and approach the dimly lit room. The door creaks open, revealing what looks like an old-timey detective's office, complete with crooked window blinds, overflowing ashtray, and paper scattered across a wooden desk. Suddenly it hits you. That nagging feeling. This is all too convenient, too inviting. Before you can react, the trap is already sprung. A plume of cigar smoke wafts over your shoulder. The barrel of a gun rubs against your spine. A raspy voice whispers in your ear. Let me guess. Took a wrong turn at the third silo. I'm not going to try and do a Nosferatu voice. I know who it is. You can see the fucking outline, for God's sake. Sure. Driven by a strange hunch, you open your mouth. You hear yourself talking, but the words are not yours. They seem to be coming from the deepest recesses of your memory. A movie you saw as a child. You don't know how, but it seems oddly appropriate. Oh, for fuck's sake. That's Dirty Harry. I know what you're thinking. This punk ain't got nothing on me. I'm sitting pretty on a loaded cult detective special. 5 in the cylinder, 1 in the chamber, and I only need the one. As corny as it all sounds, the stranger seems oddly receptive to your tough guy monologue, so you decide to bump it up a notch. Focusing your will, you boost your aura, filling the room with your presence. Oh, son of a bitch. Oh my god, we skipped a whole bunch. Focusing, your voice becomes smooth, oozing with charisma, a regular Sam Spade. You yourself can't help but feel a sense of awe. Hopefully the stranger feels it too. But then, there's that nagging feeling. What if there's more to this gal than lets on? What if she's got me right where she wants me? Maybe I should hear what she has to say. Is that right? Yeah. So how about we drop the tough guy act and talk like adults? You can always shoot me once we're done. For a few tense seconds the room goes quiet. So quiet in fact you can swear you can actually hear the smoke swirling in the air. Finally the stranger speaks again. You got a point there, kid. In a strange interplay of light and shadow the stranger reappears behind his desk. Seeing him in his full, for lack of a better word, glory, you can't help but smirk. This is the dreaded Nosferatu? The way Sophie described him, you were expecting some grotesque monstrosity, but this guy, clothes, the swagger, the hard-boiled detective routine, all comes across as a bad joke. Still, when it comes to appearance, his lineage is undeniable. From 30 feet away, you could probably pass for a bum with a nasty skin condition. From 5 feet away, he looks like something made to be seen from 30 feet away. He leans back in his chair, casually pointing his gun at you. So, what brings you to my humble office? I'm here about the Red Hook murders. Yeah, that's nasty business. What's it got to do with me? A lot, if you ask Quadir. A lot apparently, at least Quadir seems to think so. His expression sours. Not a name you want to casually toss around, kid. But hey, I get it. You're not some random schmuck who wandered in here off the street. So let's get down to the nitty gritty. Name's D'Angelo. Gin to my friends. So you can call me D'Angelo. Who I work for is less important. What I'm working on, however. I know. I'm here to help. I want to help you catch the killer. His mouldy lip twists into a smile. Do you now? D'Angelo lowers his shades. For a few seconds he sits motionless with his eyes fixed on yours. Suddenly he raises his gun, almost making you flinch. Almost. Then he twirls it into his shoulder holster. In a flashy display that definitely looks like it was practiced. A lot. In front of a mirror. You see the Nosferatu's lips move, but the quiet mumbling clearly isn't meant for your ears. Listening in, you're able to catch snippets of his monologue. Oh shit, he's doing like the detective, like the narration of his own little story. Sure, they seem to care. What was the end game? What was their angle? Everybody's got one, even if they pretend like they don't, especially then. What the hell? Maybe this town finally got to me. Oops. He pauses, sticks a fresh cigar between his crooked teeth. Maybe a good leap of faith is just what the doctor ordered. As he reaches into his pocket. What the fuck? You flash a lit lighter before his eyes. Or maybe you could use a healthy dose of unhealthy. For a split second he gives you a puzzled look. Then he leans over to your liner, puffing on the cig as it catches fire. A wry smile comes back to his lips. I like you, kid. You might look like a used car salesman, but there's something about you. Tell you what, I was just about to head back to the crime scene, take a look around with, refresh my notes. You can tag along if you want to. Could use an assistant. Someone to take notes and make wild assumptions for me to shoot down. Who knows? If you're any good, I might consider making this a long-term arrangement. Sounds good. Sure it does, kid. I'm the one who said it. Just one more thing. You still got me at a disadvantage here. Seems like you've done a lot of digging on me, but with you, I've barely scratched the surface. You catch my drift? So answer me this. Who was it that sent you into my neck of the woods? Or in layman's terms, who do you work for? Sophie Langley. For the first time since you got here, the Nosferatu have got a look of genuine surprise. His eyes wander for a moment, finally giving way to a crooked smile. So you're the one, huh? The fledgling the Toreador dame spared. Yeah, that makes sense. Don't think she'd appreciate you throwing her name around. Thanks for being up front, kid. One blink is enough for you to miss D'Angelo's vanishing from his chair. Just when you're about to look around, he reappears right next to you. Up close, his smile is even more unnerving. Alright, Moonlight's burning. Let's get cracking. With a certain fascination, you watch D'Angelo stumble his way across West Brooklyn. Oddly animated, incessantly scratching his face and neck, stopping every once in a while for a bout of mumbling narration. He is most certainly a sight to behold. Still, he seems to be getting around okay, and you take particular note of the fact that he seems to be choosing the darker, less frequented streets. There is definitely a method to his madness. Eventually, your leprous guide takes a sudden turn off of Van Brunt Street, takes a particularly dingy alleyway. The torn pieces of yellow police tape are a dead giveaway. This has to be the place. Well, here we are. Time for you to earn your stripes. This is where they found him, drained dry, not a drop of blood in him. And before you ask, no, I didn't get to see the body, so I don't know if there are any bite marks. So, what can you tell me? You take a moment to examine the crime scene. Judging by the chalk outline on the pavement, the man was killed recently. Curiously, there doesn't appear to be a trace of blood or viscera. And you know the city's cleanup crew isn't that fast or that thorough. Looking up, you notice a spray-painted sign on the wall. It reads, "The Blood Speaks," in big, crooked letters. You look to D'Angelo. The Nosferatu gives you an expecting look. Did you say the victim was drained dry? Because I don't see a trace of blood anywhere. Good eye, kid. It's the details that count. Given the murder was committed right here and the victim didn't make a sound, we can therefore conclude that... Bingo! Only a kindred could drain a human this quickly, this quietly. But not just any kindred. Take a look at that graffiti. What do you think it means? Meant to throw us off? Nah, I can see why you'd think that, but look at how crooked the letters are. Barely legible. Can't fake something like that. Someone was very nervous, very scared. Definitely meant something to them. Tell me, if you were to guess, which clan would you say our killer belongs to? Malkavian. This method to the man who's certain other states. Nah, kid, the Moonies can be a bit playful, but there's a method to their madness. Leaves a certain aftertaste. This right here just reeks of desperation. Might be jumping on to conclusions, but my money's on Thin Bloods. He pauses, spits out the mangled remains of a cigar. Shit. Looks like we're gonna have to pay Larson a visit. You don't sound too happy about it. It's complicated. Larson's got a neat setup. For a Thin Blood anyway. Lives with his family. A mortal family, mind you. Even though he's a primogen, he's managed to shield them from kindred politics, and that takes some doing. Not sure if he knows who the killer is, but he could probably make an educated guess. Any case would be doing him a favour. If it turns out one of his is violating the Masquerade, it could put him in a hell of an awkward position. And I mean shitting upside down awkward. Okay. It's the kind of weakness the other Primogen would love to exploit. His position in the council is as bad as it is. Pauses for a moment and mumbles to himself, but it's too quiet for you to make out. Finally, he lights up a fresh cigar, takes a puff and lets the smoke escape from his crooked smile. Alright kid, let's get this over with. Compared to the industrial ugliness of Red Hook, Stanley Place is quite a change of scenery. Heavily gentrified and pleasantly dull residential area emanates a sort of peaceful apathy that rich hipsters scoff at and blue-collar workers dream of. All of a sudden, the Nosferatu stops, almost like he was taking a deep breath, steeling himself for things to come. This is the place. With that, he points to a surprisingly nice-looking two-story house. The place is almost completely dark. Almost. You notice a dim light shining through the curtains of an upper-story window. Probably safe to assume that the head of the family is working late, especially if the head of the family happens to be a vampire. Okay, kid. We gotta be gentle about this. I'm talking velvet gloves, soft cushions. You rang, my lord? Gentle. You need to get Larson out here without making a fuss or letting his family see us. If we blow this, he'll shut down like a speakeasy on a raid night. Trust me, I know. Alright. Let's get to it. Right you are. Tell you what, how about you take the lead on this one? I'm curious to see how you handle it. You take a step back and look around the area. The lit up window seems like a safe bet. Now it's just a matter of getting Larson's attention. His and no one else's. As you're trying to come up with a viable strategy, you are suddenly startled by a loud noise. It takes you a second to identify the sound as a dog's barking. It doesn't take you long to figure out where it came from, as a bearded man leading a Rottweiler on a leash comes into view. I do kind of have to take every fucking feeding opportunity I get. As you turn towards the man with the dog, D'Angelo gives you a worried look. Kid? Shushing him with a gesture, you plunge into the shadows and crouch behind a well-trimmed hedge. True to his word, D'Angelo follows your lead, though he doesn't seem too happy about it. You best not be thinking what I think you're thinking. You tense up, waiting for the man to get closer. When he does, you spring from the darkness, grabbing both of his arms and sinking your teeth into his neck. The blood gushes into your mouth, thick with surprise and laced with just enough fear. All so quick and yet so sublime. The man goes limp, his best friend does not. The dog goes off on a barking spree that will make dead men cover his ears. Tear away from your victim, ready to let the beast loose on a hapless canine. D'Angelo, however, is quick to curtail your murderous appetite. The detective approaches the animal, looking it straight in the eyes. He mumbles something under his breath, an oddly melodic whisper. Mesmerized by the chant, the dog grows quiet and lays on his back, allowing D'Angelo to pat its belly. You notice lights turning on in some of the houses. D'Angelo gives you an angry look and points to the unconscious man in your arms. Get him out of sight, now! Heeding his advice, you hoist the man over your shoulder and carry him to the nearest bush. Just as you're getting up, a very unassuming and slightly unshaven man in a turtleneck approaches D'Angelo. Doesn't seem happy to see him. Are you fucking insane? I mean, I know you are, but this is nuts even by your standards, D'Angelo. You glance over to D'Angelo. He looks somewhat embarrassed, scratching the back of his neck, clearly trying to find the right angle to play this. You must be Larson. Sorry about the fuss, but we need to get your attention. By feeding right next to my house? What the hell is wrong with you? Get the hell out of here. Relax, didn't bring him dry, unlike your friend at Red Hook. Is that supposed to mean anything to me? D'Angelo, what's going on here? It's about the Red Hook murders. We think one of yours is responsible. Bullshit. A Duskborn's got enough trouble just staying alive out here. What could possibly make them openly violate the Masquerade? Desperation. Killer's been leaving messages. Whoever they are, I think they know something. Something they can't share with just anyone. I know it seems far-fetched, but it's the only way this puzzle fits together. Nah, I don't buy it. You're reaching. Trying to find a scapegoat. Getting your boss's good graces. Word gets around, D'Angelo. You think I don't know who you're working for? Then help us clear your people's name. What have you got to lose? Everything. I've been a thorn in the council's side for a while now. This is just an excuse to get rid of me. What if it turns out one of yours did it and you sat on your hands to protect him? You think the council won't jump on that? Oh shit. He looks off into the darkness, pondering his option. He lets out a heavy sigh. Look, I'll ask around. Consult my sources. If it turns out one of my own is responsible, they will face justice. In the meantime, keep your deductions to yourself. I have enough trouble as it is. Deal. Good. Now if you excuse me, I have to get back to my family. And with that, Larson retreats to the elusive safety of his home. You decide it's best to move along. You walk a couple blocks in utter silence. Even D'Angelo's mumbling seems to have taken a back seat. Oddly enough, you find that his newfound reticence somewhat unnerving. Finally, the Nosferatu stops and turns towards you. Hell of a night. Dunno about you, kid, but I sure could use a drink. Something warm, in a tall, sweaty glass. But first, let me tally your score. Let's see now. Did make a good first impression. I like someone who can talk themselves out of a tight spot. Talking's cheap. Bullets, not so much. You held your own at the crime scene. Nothing I hadn't figured out on my own, but hey, can't all be professionals. Finally, when the situation called for subtlety, you managed to avoid unwanted attention. Discretion is what separates a private dick from just any old dick. All in all, you did fine. Not fine, but not bad for your first case. Don't let it go to your head. I'll be in touch. Let you know if I hear from Larson. Be ready to meet at the office. He starts to walk away, but suddenly stops and turns back towards you. And bring a notepad. Every good assistant should have one. Okay, sure. Alright. You're walking down the street towards your haven. In some other town, the sidewalks would be deserted this time of the night. New York City, there are plenty of passersby going about their business. It's easy to be paranoid when you're a vampire surrounded by a crowd of humans. The kindred have many enemies, and all those enemies have one trait in common. They're invisible. Indistinguishable from normal humanity. Other vampires, hunters, all look like people. Is that old man just a tired restaurant worker or a kindred thrall tailing your movements? Are the officers idly waiting in a patrol car, ordinary cops or Second Inquisition specialists looking to end undead threats? This kind of thinking leads to madness, but you can't shake that feeling that someone is watching you. It's not the first time you felt like this. Whatever it is, it's probably something you have to take care of. Best case, someone is tailing you. Worst case, you'll be attacked and killed. Unfortunately, being undead has its limitations. The sun is coming up soon and you'll be burnt to a crisp if you stay on the streets. You reach your haven and settle in for the day, disconcerted by the idea that someone might know where you sleep. As you wake from your slumber and emerge from your haven for the night, you notice a familiar face on the other side of the street, standing on the corner and looking straight at you. It's Kaiser's lackey, whom you met recently, Jackie. He nods to you, encouraging you to approach. You can tell he's guarded and suspicious after what you made him do last time. His hands are outside of his pockets, though. A sign of goodwill? That's close enough. Let me guess, it's not a social visit? Kaiser sent you? Don't say his name out loud, idiot. He takes a look around just to make sure nobody's listening in on your conversation. Yeah, he sent me. I'm supposed to give you this. He produces a crumpled piece of paper from his jacket pocket and hands it to you. Read it, memorize it, then give it back here. It's a letter. The paper might have been just a page ripped out of a spiral notebook, but the writing on it is exquisitely detailed and deliberate. It reads, "Time to square your debt with me. Go to the wine shop at 232 Mulberry Street and ask for the 1821 Special Reserve Donatello Negramaro? Negramaro. I don't know what that is. I'm going to take a photo of that in case I actually have to remember that. Because my memory is terrible. When they tell you they don't have it, you say you are a fedeli servitor della famiglia. Famiglia G. Those exact fucking words, and make sure you get the G right. Alright, another photo. Oh, man. Sorry, there. Let's just get all this shit out of the way. Alright. You'll get a bottle, just take it and leave it by saying Grazia. Grazie. Grazia. I don't know how to speak other languages. Don't ask how much it is or anything, just walk out. When you have it, come back to Jackie Boy and let him know. You done? Memorize that shit and hand it over. Didn't peg your boss for a letter kind of guy. Isn't electronic communication his whole shtick? Yeah, well, some things are better done the old-fashioned way. You about done with the letter? You note the phrases and addresses and the address mentioned in the letter, then hand it back to Jackie. He immediately reaches for a lighter and burns the letter, putting out the ashes with his boot. So yeah, when you do what the boss asks, come back here so I can tell you where to go next. I'll be in the alley over there. So find me when you have the item, whatever it is. I don't know. And the boss made it extra clear that I shouldn't care, so I don't. See ya. Shuffles away and leaves you to pursue the lead from the letter. Time to pay a visit to Nolita. You arrive at the address mentioned in the note. Not counting local restaurant patrons, the street is mostly empty at this time of night. Curiously, the wine shop is still open. Inside, a small, middle-aged woman with curly hair stands behind the counter in front of a wall filled with wine bottles. There's a door at the back of the room with a small table and chair occupied by a man in a black faux leather jacket with slick, combed back hair. He's reading a newspaper but pauses as a little bell rings when you open the door. Takes a sip from a small steaming cup, then goes back to his broadsheet. Good evening, how can I help you? Do you want to be direct or chat her up? Yeah, we can talk to her. Wow, you've got such a big selection of wine. Say, you wouldn't have a bottle of 821 Special Reserve Donatella Nejramaro, would you? Gives you a curious look. Let me check. She seems to be looking through a database on the laptop, sitting on the counter. She puts on a polite smile. I'm afraid we don't have that one at the moment, sorry. Recite the phrase and reassure her. I'm sure you'll find a bottle for Fideli Servitor de Magie, right? She raises an eyebrow. Let me see if I have any in the back. Woman leaves the counter and goes through the doors in the back. The man by the table puts down his newspaper and takes another sip from the cup, washing it down with a gulp of water from a nearby glass. He tries to hide it, but there's no doubt he's watching you. About a minute passes. Chat the guy up, remain silent and wait. You remind yourself of what Kaiser wrote in the letter and kept quiet. Keep quiet, patiently waiting for the woman to return from the back of the store. The man finishes his drink and starts doodling on the newspaper, his eyes darting to you every so often. The doors to the back of the store open and the proprietor emerges with a small, unlabeled, squat bottle of crimson liquid. She gives you an apologetic smile. Scusi, sorry for taking so long. Turns out we did have it. She offers you the bottle and you reach out to grab it, but she retracts it. You focus your blood and immediately see both the people in the shop focus intently in on you and what you're about to say. I know exactly what this is, and I'm the right person to give it to. The woman gives you a bottle without hesitation. Grazie. So that you've pushed your luck far enough, you nod and exit the store, then take a brisk walk to your car. Nobody follows as you leave Nolita and drive back to your apartment. It takes you some time to find a parking spot, but you finally get out of the car and start looking for Jackie. He's not far from where you parted ways just under 2 hours ago. Got the goods? Sure do. Cool, stand by, I gotta make the call. He takes a few more steps into a narrow space between two buildings and takes up the same high-tech phone you saw him carrying last time. Hey boss, yeah they have it. Where do I point them to? Okay, yeah, I'll tell them to go there right away. Puts the phone back in his pocket and turns back to you. Willets Point, half an hour, so you better step on it. See you around. With only a flippant salute, Jackie starts walking down the street. You make your way back to the car and drive. Had to push the speed limit to make it on time, but you're here. Willets Point is quite a change of scenery. The place is a post-industrial dump, a nearby stadium notwithstanding. You stop your car once you realise that if you go any further down, the potholes will kill your chassis. You step out into one of the gashes in the asphalt, splashing in the ankle-deep water. Kaiser's limo is nowhere to be seen. In fact, the whole place is pretty much deserted, other than the apparent proprietor of a lonely bar. Middle-aged woman who's just locking up the place. This is too perfect an opportunity to not take advantage of. She's walking to her car, ready to call it a night when you sneak up on her. She's far too tired to resist your strong hold and swift bite. You can taste the caffeine in her veins, smell the cheap cigarettes in her hair, the old cooking grease in her clothes. Passes out your assault, the closing note of a long day at work. Let her down gently and feel a pang of remorse. Pick up the car keys she dropped and place her in the driver's seat. She'll find an explanation for passing out like this, I'm sure. The bright lights of a car pulling down the road illuminate you as you close the door. It's a black limo. Kaiser is finally here, it would seem. Same as last time, the car doors open but nobody comes out. You know the drill. This time, Kaiser is visible when you look inside. You sit down and close the door behind you. So, you pulled it off without a hitch then. Give it here. You hand the bottle over to the Nosferatu. He uncorks it gently, takes a whiff, and puts the cork back in. Yeah, that's the stuff. Good job, kid. Consider your debt paid. Oh yeah, and this. And also take this, is what Langley wanted. Passes you an envelope with what feels like a thick card inside. Thank you, Mr. Kaiser. Yeah, I'll send Jackie over if I need anything else from you. How about that? Time for you to get out now. He waves you out of the car. With the envelope in hand, you get out, back to the torn asphalt and decrepit surroundings. The limo slowly drives away. Finally, you can return to Sophie and bring her what she wanted. Whew, Gregory lets you in. You hear a shrill, unpleasant laugh and you realise Sophie's having a guest over. Thomas Arturo. You met in Elysium a few nights back. That shriek is unmistakable. Amanda! So glad to see you. Tell me, did you two have a chance to talk previously? Thomas speaks up before you can. Why yes, of course, and such a good first impression you made too. Miss Langley clearly did the right thing by taking you under her wing. I'm sure she thinks so too, don't you, Sophie? Why, of course, Of course you do, of course. Well, I believe I must be going. I'll be sure to let Prince Panard know your thoughts, Miss Langley. Word for word, or as close as I can remember them. Appreciate it, Thomas. You two enjoy your night now. Good night, Sophie, Amanda, Greggy boy. Greggy boy. He gives you a sly smile. Sophie's driver opens the door for Arturo and the guest steps out with a single wave of the hand towards his host and you. The door closes. He's quite the character, isn't he? Yes, quite, but he has his uses. Thomas has clout in court and access to many juicy details in everyone from the prince to the lowliest primogen. It's useful to have him at your side, even if his eccentricity requires some patience. Speaking of patience, you've been putting mine to the test lately. Did you manage to contact Kaiser and acquire what I asked for? Yes, I have it, but the data you offered was old news to him. I had to do another job for him, so he would give me this card. She retrieves the envelope from you. I'm sure he did. I do hope it wasn't too much of an inconvenience. He's got a servant named Jackie. He's a pain to deal with. I hear all his ghouls are like that. Oh, for fuck's sake. That's why I don't usually use keep cups around my desk. It just sprays coffee everywhere. Fuck's sake. Where's my... Well, they say the apple never falls far from the tree, it would seem. She opens the envelope and looks at the card. You notice the same lettering you saw in Kaiser's note from before, but can't see the details. Her eyes widen. Yes, excellent. I need to call in some favors. I'll likely be busy for the next few nights. You have my permission to show some initiative. My dear Charge, I'll contact you soon. With that, Sophie ushers you outside, and you are left to do with the rest of the night's hours as you like. Oh, there's like a... Okay, Jesus, there's a lot to do. Let's go and meet Jezebel. Sophie mentioned a gangrel neonate. Fuck off. By the name of Tameka, who's made herself a haven in Prospect Park. The Ferals aren't exactly a social bunch, even by kindred standards. But if you keep her from clawing your eyes out just long enough, she might be persuaded to join you. Make your way through the Grand Army Plaza, passing the Soldiers and Sailors Memorial Arch. Can't help but feel a tinge of nostalgia. As you picture the place you've seen countless times, in broad daylight, teeming with life. You quickly get over it and pass through the northwest gate into Prospect Park. The park is its usual maze of unkempt foliage and dimly lit alleys. Silence hangs in the air, as it would at this time of night. There doesn't appear to be any sign of kindred presence. You start to suspect Langley's sources fed her a bunch of bullshit, but you're not willing to give up just yet. As you ponder your options, you hear footsteps coming from behind a line of trees. Quick, but evenly paced, most likely a late-night jogger. No vampire would take kindly to you feeding in their domain, but then again, perhaps you could kill two birds with one stone. Yeah, fuck it. Lock onto the sound of footsteps, predicting the runner's path. You move swiftly but quietly to intercept them. Hide behind a tree and wait for your prey to get closer. Mere seconds later, a young man in an off-brand tracksuit trots into view. Notice the buds in his ears. Beat heavy, music bleeding through. This should make things easier. Just as the man passes you, you emerge behind and plant your hand firmly on his neck. Struggles at first, desperately trying to break free of your grasp. As soon as your fangs pierce his skin, panic gives way to peaceful submission. You feel elated as the warm liquid trickles down your throat. The fresh vitae washes over your senses, sending an orgasmic shiver along your spine. Somewhere in the deepest, darkest crevices of your mind, the beast stirs in its slumber. You stop feeding just in time. Your hunger satiated, the beast falls fast asleep. You sit the dazed victim on a nearby bench. As the world comes back into focus, you suddenly realize that something is not right. In a split second, the air by the side of your head swirls like a vortex. Driven by sheer instinct, you lean back, just as five finger-shaped razors cut through the darkness, missing your face by an inch. A clawed shadow jumps back a few paces, preparing to correct its mistake. You catch a glimpse of the assailant. Looks pretty animalistic, alright, but he's not the one you're looking for. For starters, it's a he. Just as he's about to lunge at you, a snarl resounds from bushes nearby, stopping your foe in their tracks. Out of the shadows emerges a young woman, baring her teeth ever so slightly. She walks over calmly, her eyes fixed on your assailant. Her presence is enough to make him reconsider attacking you, but not to withdraw completely. He glances over to her, puffing up his chest. Stay out of it, Tam. I smelled her first. Tam, how about that? She raises an eyebrow but remains silent. Her compatriot turns back towards you. Shouldn't have come here, girlie. I'm gonna fuck you up so bad you'll be wearing your tongue as a fucking necktie. Tamika looks at you expectantly. Your eyes find his and your words become imperatives, grasping your victim's mind like a vice. You're getting ahead of yourself, little doggy. Go on now. Get. Noticing what is happening, Tamika looks at you with anger and disbelief. Her friend staggers and shifts his weight, barely managing to stay on his feet. Fighting against the strain, he sinks his claws into the back of his head. A few drops of blood trickle from his nose. Yikes. You, Ventru, bitch! I'll rip your tits and rip off your tits and feed them to you. Fierce growl echoes across the alley, stopping the savage in his tracks. Tamika walks over to her comrade, her fangs glistening in the dim lamplight. She puts her hand on his side of his head, caressing his hair and tugging his ear, as if she was scolding a puppy. She leans over and speaks in a voice that's firm yet oddly affectionate. It's okay, Raoul. I'll handle it from here. Male Gangrel looks at her with a mix of timidity and resentment, then turns back towards you. So that's how it's gonna be, huh? He yanks his head back and aims a gob of bloody spittle straight at your feet. Get fucked, both of you. Having said his piece, Raoul retreats into the shadows. Though if you were to guess, he's likely to stay within earshot. With her companion gone, Tamika turns to you once more. What do you want? Short story, new here, I'm looking for a chance to leave my mark. Maybe shake things up a bit in the process. I could use your help. Why me? Why not? An inkling of a smile creeps across her lips. Let's get one thing straight. If you're looking for a hired gun, I'm not the type. This is different. I don't think I have the kind of money that could persuade you. All I have to offer is my health, and someday... Fucking wow. All I have to offer is my help, and someday, maybe my friendship. Do I strike you as someone who needs a friend? Yeah, you do actually. For the first time tonight, she seems caught off guard. You decide to press the advantage. Look, I know it's not much, but I sure as hell could use someone to watch my back, so I could watch theirs. So what do you say? For a brief moment she stands there, motionless, looking straight into your eyes, as if trying to size you up. Finally she looks away. Looks like she's come to a decision. Just so we're clear, I don't trust you. I don't have a reason to. Frankly, you sound more lost than I am. Still, there's something about you. You look like you should reek of bullshit, but somehow, you don't. So I'll give you a chance to prove yourself. I have some outstanding business to take care of. I'll let you know once that's done. Meet me here and we'll see what you're really made of. And with that, Tamika disappears into the night. That went pretty well, all things considered. And that's the end of the night. We're burning through these pretty quickly. I don't know how many there are, but... Oh my fucking god. Somebody's Watching Me, Part 1. Recently I've been feeling as if somebody keeps tailing you. Time to confirm your suspicions. Somebody is following you around. Has been for the few nights, maybe longer. This can't be a good thing. The only question is, what to do about it. It's clearly something more serious than what you can figure out on your own. You have to ask Sophie for help. She must have experience with all kinds of stalkers, invisible or not. You make your way to Sophie's apartment, feeling watched the whole way. It'd be better if you could shake the tail, but something tells you that's impossible. A ghoul lets you into Sophie's apartment. You're not sure how many servants she has, but their civility creeps you out. Does vampire blood do that to people? Or is it just Sophie's personality? The ghoul tells you that Sophie is not in and bids you to wait in the living room. You do as directed, settling down on a sofa. As you sit contemplating Sophie's decor, you feel strange, as if the feeling of being followed on the street never really left you. You don't have time to think more on this because Sophie strides in, clearly in a good mood. If it isn't my favourite stray, am I imagining it? Or have you started to dress a little better? You stand up, too worried to waste time on small talk. I have a weird feeling when I go out, as if some invisible creep is tailing me. Sometimes when you are a vampire, you really do have an invisible creep tailing you. This is a cause for concern, to be sure. In fact, Sophie looks around the room, suddenly startled. I can't believe it. Sophie stands up, ready to face whatever danger she senses. An invisible force pushes aside her servant standing in the doorway. You hear the door to Sophie's apartment open and close. Sophie sighs and settles back down as a ghoul disappears into the hallway in a vain effort to catch the stalker. I suppose I should scold you, but in a town full of Malkavians and Nosferatu, that's probably useless. Sometimes this happens. This is embarrassing. You should be careful. I'll assign one of my servants to watch your haven. Oh, did we... The stalker must have been in her apartment. You leave Sophie's apartment chastened and confused. If invisible Orlocks and jesters can follow you anywhere, how are you supposed to stop them? Perhaps it's all part of the game the kindred seem to play with each other. Hard to say if that makes it better or worse. Alright, so we did that one. Benoit Seagal wants to meet you again at the Cathedral. You wonder whether that mysterious priest will be there. You started to look at churches differently since your last encounter with Benoit. You're not sure what happened inside, but it was unavoidably real. You felt it. When Benoit mentioned that being in the presence of Father Anthony's faith would eventually kill someone like you, an undead being, you believed him. Doesn't seem to be very common though. In New York you pass thousands of people every night, and none of them have made you feel so afraid and insignificant. If you were to encounter someone like Father Anthony in the subway or a nightclub, you would know. There are many churches in the 5 boroughs, and you're pretty sure most of them don't contain someone whose faith can touch you in this way. Yet you become wary. They just might. Still, tonight the cathedral looks as before, a striking landmark, acting as a symbol of faith for people who have no idea that vampires exist in their midst. For them, questions of faith and myth are theoretical or philosophical. For you, those same questions suddenly define the meaning of your new existence. Woo! Oh man, there's a lot of this. I think I've been reading for like fucking half an hour straight. You speak into the cathedral like an old hand, or sneak into the cathedral like an old hand, as if going to church has been a regular part of your life. Inside, the cathedral is almost deserted. You're not sure if you'll be meeting Benoit alone. The idea of feeling Father Anthony's faith on your undead flesh freezes you with terror. Benoit is waiting for you in the front pews of the cathedral, in the exact same spot where you saw Father Anthony. Worried, you approach, but you don't feel the touch of faith that shook you before. Benoit nods as you sit next to him in the pew. Aren't you worried about meeting here? What if your friend the priest returns? Don't worry, he's not here tonight. You've had some time to think. I'm guessing you found the touch of Father Anthony's faith hard to ignore. For most people, God's presence is a question of faith. When I talk with Father Anthony, it feels like proof. Benoit is fervent, intense as he speaks. It's clear that these questions have consumed his existence. Perhaps they'll consume yours too. I guess if you believe, or if the Cain thing is true, like if Cain existed and is the reason that vampires exist, then the divine is quite obviously real. What do the kindred of the Camarilla believe? The old ones. It's true the elders are not always so good at teaching their childer. Maybe the Camarilla would function better if we all knew these stories. Benoit looks around reflexively to make sure nobody's listening. Only a few people in the enormous cathedral, and they don't seem to be interested in 2 loners murmuring to each other in the front pew. It seemed like ancient history, things that happened thousands of years ago, but time works differently for our kind. If the stories are true, then the Methuselahs still in existence. There are Methuselahs still in existence who walked the earth when Jesus was alive. The only problem is that old vampires lie. They adjust history to suit their egos. Surely something was written down before the Masquerade was established? Of course, the Tremere have many interesting manuscripts in their libraries. I've seen a few, but if you have the chance, I recommend looking at them. This is how the story goes. God cursed Cain as punishment for the murder of Abel. Cain walked the night shunned by humanity and drank blood to sustain himself. Even from the point of our origin, we are damned. However, the story becomes really interesting when we move forward. Cain creates more of our kind, often referred to as the second generation. Wait, could Cain walk in the daylight? I wanna see if they do. Yeah, here we go. Let's see. Okay, no, I don't think you can. Yeah, no, I don't think you can. Bullshit. They lived in the first city, later called Enoch, ruling openly over the city's human inhabitants. I see the first city as Cain's redemption. Cursed by God to wander, he remade himself as a ruler and lawgiver, acting as an immortal shepherd to humanity. It only started to go wrong when the second generation begat the third, and vampires started to run amok. Vampires ruled openly over humans? Yes, according to the stories. Cain was a benevolent and just ruler, using his vast knowledge to bring a new age of prosperity. Of course, those stories were written by vampires. After the first city, Cain largely departs the story. Perhaps he was disheartened by the depredations of his descendants. The antediluvians went on to build a second city in imitation of the first, but it's doubtful their ruler was just. There are people moving in the cathedral, and both you and Benoit have made sure none get close enough to hear you talk. Many of the people you've seen have been elderly or disabled, so it's not surprising that you hear the squeak of a wheelchair. What alarms you more is that you overhear an older woman speaking with a Russian accent mention Father Anthony. Let's find Father Anthony and see if he can help us. From what I've heard, he's an exceptional man. You turn to look and see two men and a woman. All three are in their 50s, clearly well worn by life. Wow. Our character is just taking a dig at three random people because they look old. One of the men pushes the woman in the wheelchair. She's dark-haired and intense, seemingly only half in this world. Yeah, exceptional, but he doesn't like moles. The speaker is the shorter of the men, more animated and worried. He was probably a strong man in his youth, perhaps even an athlete. His voice carries a Midwestern accent. You're only interested in whether he likes blank bodies. Oh shit. I don't think these are normal people. You and Benoit look at each other. This is bad news. Whoever these three are, they can't be good for you. We need to get out. Let's meet outside. Better not call attention to yourself. You decide to move to the side of the cathedral and pretend to pray at an altar. You walk casually towards the side, away from the three approaching mortals. You feel their eyes boring into your back, but you force yourself to be cool. Benoit is nowhere to be seen. You blink and he disappeared in a burst of speed. You're worried it was too conspicuous, but maybe the mortals missed it. You pretend to admire the architecture for a while before glancing back at the trio. They have settled at the exact spot you just occupied, apparently waiting for someone and conversing in hushed tones. Once you're sure their attention is elsewhere, you start walking briskly down the side aisle towards the exit. That was a close call. Who were those three? Did you recognize them? Oh shit, it's a vampire hunter. I might have, I'm not sure. There's talk of a few tenacious vampire hunters living in the city. One of them is supposed to be a woman in a wheelchair. For a second, Benoit looks at you as if wondering whether he should say something. So one thing I've always wondered about the story of Cain, traditions of the Camarilla put a lot of faith in the relationship between sire and child. They were supposed to follow the example of your maker, yet Cain didn't really seem to care for the vampires he embraced. Do you think it was a mistake to create our kind? My sire left me. Is that common among kindred? Yes, unfortunately. The kindred are selfish and cruel. You know, I'm Sophie's child, and you're her protege. It's amazing that we share an appreciation for the mythologies of our kind, considering Sophie has little interest in the questions of the spirit. You stare at Benoit. You knew there was something he wasn't telling you, but in all the talk about Cain in the first city, you forgot about it. Now the only question is, what does this mean? Does Sophie know her child is talking to you? Probably not. Don't hold it against me, but I admit finding some pleasure in seeing you suffer the effects of Father Anthony's faith. I suppose that's the demon in me. I understand that you're bitter, Benoit. I'm not your enemy. I'm sorry, I know that. It's just that sometimes I get too tempted by sin. You know, we should meet again. We've talked so much about myth, but maybe that's cowardly when the reality of faith is right in front of us. I'll introduce you to Father Anthony. You nod, unsure whether that's a good idea. Benoit walks away and you follow his example, not wanting to hang around the cathedral any longer. That seems like a really bad idea though, right? The fact that his, like, holy presence made us not sick, but they, like, hurt? I guess? Can you fucking stop that noise? Sorry. Check something. So we've got 5 out of 28 achievements. So there's like oh my fucking god, there's a lot of achievements. Oh, we have to rest, don't we? So what, you get like two actions a night, I guess. Quadir, the sheriff of New York City, is knocking at the door of your haven. The sight comes as more than a little shocking. If he had business with you, you'd either expect him to already inside or never seen him coming at all. Yet there he is, on the other side of the peephole, patiently and politely waiting for you to let him in. You carefully unlock the door and face him in silence. Evening. May I come in? You simply stare at him. Your lack of an answer doesn't faze him, and your lack of resistance as he starts walking inside has obviously been interpreted as a permission. Once inside, he starts looking around as you cautiously stay by the door. Haven't really had time to make this place your own yet, have you? Feels like Langley's apartment through and through. A secluded study where nobody studies anything. Look at the books on the shelf, obviously meant to impress guests, not to be read. They reveal nothing about their owner, aside from the aching desire to be taken seriously as an intellectual. He picks one of them up and smirks before putting it away. The phenomenology of spirit, next to all this garbage poetry. We can make a bet. If she's read more than 20 pages, I'll owe you $50 and a gallon of blood. This kind of place that self-professed hermits entomb themselves in to suffer. Considering how much you have to run around these nights, you probably only use it to shelter from the sun. Hey. And rest, right? Even though he's obviously making an effort to come off as non-threatening, it's impossible to forget the first impression he made. You still see him as a fierce predator, trying hard not to expose his true colours. You sense a familiar fight or flight response as you struggle to find a diplomatic answer to his last question. If Quadir is bothered by your silence, he doesn't let it show. He keeps walking around, toying with whatever catches his eye. Eventually, he speaks up again. Watch any baseball lately? If I had to guess, you strike me as a Red Sox fan. Now he's inviting you to talk in a more direct manner. You attempt to overcome your physical reaction to him and reply as casually as you can. For fuck's sake. Your mind keeps going back to that night where everything was changed forever. Waking up in a hell with a body next to you. Spending a night in the underground sweatbox. Unsure of what will happen next. Endless car ride, 3 strikes, a bloodthirsty crowd, that blade. A rebirth, a baptism by fire, a frightening executor who made sure the flames scarred your spirit. As you look into his face, you realize he's read the emotions from yours. Not in the mood to exchange pleasantries. There's no animosity in his voice, he's just stating a fact. Let me get straight to the point then. He momentarily stops caring about his surroundings, turning all his attention to you, and demanding the entirety of your attention in return. You see, there's something I've realized over the years. In large part, I may have been hired just to look menacing with a sword. My job is all about seeing through bonds and relationships. Camarilla would be safe as long as its members adhered to certain social contracts, making their dealings and affinities plain for everyone to see, but that, obviously, remains a pipe dream. This is a community of born conspirators, overly ambitious gangsters and politicians, monsters in denial, all sorts of tragically broken individuals. They're driven by desires that make them incompatible with the Masquerade, incompatible with prolonged survival of the Camarilla, incompatible with the methods I use to operate. And so I am doomed to be like a cop, constantly insulted behind my back, maybe for good reason, but immediately call for help whenever someone loses their tableware. Or like an Agatha Christie protagonist, outwardly assisted by everyone but constantly lied to about everyone's pasts and motivations, even if my failure to solve the mystery might be the end of us all. Just let the dog settle down, sorry. It's all very intense. Not a whole lot of joviality in this. It's all like quite a lot of doom and gloom, and the few moments humour does pop up, it's very dry. He tries to sound like he's peacefully resigned to his fate, but it's easy to detect a tinge of regret in his voice. A voice belonging to someone who once had bigger ambitions than this. What broke him? So you see, for this detective, the why done it is far more important than the who done it or how done it. When you understand all the players and their mutual obligations, you easily understand every crime. But of course the kindred know it, so they devise ways to make my job much harder. Just like conspiracies between two unrelated actors that depend on scratching each other's backs for mutual security. Or they enforce a blood bond to make someone unexpected their thrall. A boss serving their employee, a rebel serving a tyrant, just because one of them regularly being forced to drink another's blood. What has Sophie seen in you? Why does the Keep Prince asking me about your actions? How come you're being pushed to build your own coterie so fast? You are surrounded by unclear motivations which you yourself don't understand. That unnerves me, and it should unnerve you as well. Oh, and what are your motivations? Finally, you managed to raise your voice. Quadir notices the effort and smiles softly. So you haven't gone mute since the last time I saw you. Good. Well, I'm here for a selfish reason. I need to develop a rapport with you to better fill my obligations. Last time we met, I couldn't see you as my equal. Now that you've been accepted into the Camarilla, what choice do I have? I'd understand if you didn't want to see my face again, but I'm one of the faces of the New York City community, and as long as you're part of it, it's going to be impossible to avoid me. Especially when I have business with you, and I do. As you might have guessed by now, one of my tasks is uncovering and understanding your bonds, and one of them might endanger our community. Well, that's not menacing at all. Who's he talking about? Is this about Sophie? Cordelia shakes his head. Sophie's fine. She's plotting something big, I know it, and she knows it. She knows I know it. But she's treading carefully, as she should. No, they're not a major player. He produces a file from underneath his coat and passes it to you. This is our troublemaker. You open the file and see some printed photos. You freeze up as you recognize the face and are overwhelmed by a flood of repressed memories. Newman. Benjamin Newman. The asshole who made the last few years of your life a living hell. The sexual harassment, the mobbing, the way he kept delegating all his obligations to you without ever letting you reap the fruits of your labor. The way he stole your soul. Goddamn prick. You look up at Cordelia expecting answers. Oh, I see. Apparently your company is in trouble. Lots of financial irregularities, and Mr. Newman is all too happy to testify that one employee who's just suddenly disappeared is to blame. Story is as fishy as it gets, but your disappearance is being investigated and a lot of people are searching for you. It attracts attention to us, and as much, it must be stopped. Must be stopped sounds threatening. You dread thinking what he's planning. I'll arrange for you two to meet tomorrow, so that you can straighten the situation out and say goodbye to the life you've forsaken. He'll arrange... What? Your eyes must look like saucers right now. Usually these matters are left to my discretion, and I can't think of an easy solution. The lost sheep reappears, takes care of unfinished business, and disappears, never to be seen again. Nobody cares. Simple, it's clean, no contrived schemes, no unnecessary victims. Right. And it gives me an opportunity to learn more about you as I observe. When neonates interact with kind they used to hold dear, their true natures are laid bare for everyone to see. Of course he's invested in being kind to you. Or he's making clear his self-serving intentions so you don't start figuring them out yourself. Any objections? Any alternatives are probably worse. You shake your head. Very well, I'll arrange a meeting and drive you there tomorrow. Better come up with a load of bull that's easy to swallow. He disappears from the apartment, leaving you as confused as the last time. He closed the door on you. God damn it, you need to think it through. For a long time you just sit in your haven, lost in your thoughts, thinking about how revenge is a dish best served cold. Oh, are we gonna like fucking murder him or something? Which one? I guess I want to do the stalker one again. Walking down the street near your haven, you suddenly spot a young, disheveled woman leaning against a wall. She looks you straight in the eye and disappears into an alley. Hey, come here. Come on. Meow. God, you've had something to eat, haven't you? Chonky. She's your stalker, you're certain of it. You take a few running steps to catch up with her, determining to find out what this is all about. Ducking into an alley, you come upon a grisly scene. An old man, a pensioner, really, lies broken on the ground. Telltale puncture marks on his neck. 3 vampires stand around above the corpse, licking their lips. All were embraced young. 2 men and a woman. Black hoodies, bicycle chain, a facial tattoo. You've never seen them before and you assume you know why. They're anarchs. Hey, it's the Camarilla bitch, just as promised. Oh, Jesus. I like beating up those privileged little shits. You walk into the simplest ambush in the world. The woman you saw briefly at the mouth of the alley is nowhere in sight. Perhaps that shouldn't be surprising given her obvious power of invisibility. Okay, assholes. I'll beat you up one at a time or all at once. Your call. The Anarchs hesitate for a second, surprised by your bravado. Perhaps they were more used to beating the defenseless. One of the Anarchs, an emaciated young man, steps forward towards you and whips a bicycle chain at your face. You block with your arm, trusting your vampiric resilience to keep you unharmed. The Anarch scowls as the chain shreds your clothes but leaves you unharmed. Don't worry, if we hit her enough, something will get through. The Anarchs gang up on you. You feel their punches all over your body. You know that eventually they'll hurt for real. Oh, fuck. So I can't just, like, murder them all. They're immortals, ordinary New Yorkers gathering at the mouth of the alley. You see cell phones, people shooting video. This is a Masquerade breach for sure. Your opponents come to the same conclusion. As if by a common, wordless decision, they turn and run down the alley, away from the crowd. After a moment's hesitation, you do the same. As you emerge into the street of the other side of the block, there are no signs of the Anarchs. One thing is clear, your mystery stalker is not worried about you getting hurt. Okay. Knock knock! You'd ask who's there, but you don't know if the Sheriff of New York would play along. You open the door, you see him toying with the car keys he's holding in his hand. Ready to go, fledgling? You don't feel like it, but you give him a nod nevertheless. Excellent, stay close. He leads you down to the vehicle he's parked nearby. Once again, he takes the wheel, literally and figuratively. Once inside, everything inside is just the way you remember it, down to the rearview mirror reflecting the intense stare of your guide. However, the trip itself feels notably different. The last time Coterie drove you around, he was forcibly dragging you away from your old life. This time, he's pulling you back into it. Goddamn Newman, you're getting violent just thinking about him. Let me tell you how it's going to go. As I said, I've arranged a meeting between you and your kin. It's going to take place somewhere you should know very well. I'll watch over you two from a safe distance to make sure you adhere to the rules. You should know those very well, but I'll reiterate just so you can't ever say I didn't warn you. Don't treat it as the last time you two will meet. Take this chance to wrap everything. Okay. Don't do anything that would violate the Masquerade. Don't establish some secret routes of contact. I will know. Don't treat it as the last time you two will meet. Take this chance to wrap everything up. Here's your story. You found yourself at a crossroads, decide to radically change your life and move out of the city. Subway is unbearable, rent is too high. They've heard it all. Right, I'll just take another photo of this, shall I? Boink. The fuck? Okay. However, you do not appreciate being accused of a crime you didn't commit, so you're back both to clear your name and strike fear into the heart of the real culprit. He's probably like embezzling money from the fucking company, right? By now you should know how to cause fear among the living, right? He smirks at you. Have fun. As long as you don't leave a mess for me to clean up, we should be good. The car makes a sudden turn. I'll leave the finer details to you. Just be so kind and don't make me regret it. You can sense he's going out of his way for you, but doesn't try to force you into gratitude by stating it plainly. If you know, you know. He'll see if you're worthy of his aid. There we go. Yeah, sorry. Okay. We're here. You take a look and recognize your destination. He was right, it is a familiar place. It's the office in which you wasted the best years of your life. Told you. Embezzlement. Classic. Newman should be up there. Apparently someone is blackmailing him with documents proving his penchant for embezzlement. Poor guy is stuck in his office and he's pretty shaken up. Documents don't exist, but it would be a shame if someone went there, wiped the floor with the man, found proof that he pilfered the funds, and forced him to admit his crimes. Turns off the engine and relaxes comfortably in his seat. You silently leave the car and head straight for Newman's office. The elevator ride up just doesn't seem to end. After what feels like 5 hours, but in reality it's closer to 30 seconds, you finally reach your floor. Your ex-boss is sitting in his office, just like Cordelia said. He looks, how can you put it, as if he just googled body language of alpha males and attempted to poorly copy the most cartoonish posture in order to intimidate the blackmailer. Out of habit, you take a deep breath as you step inside his office. Amanda? He immediately relaxes. It's just Amanda. His eyes say as a sly grin appears beneath them. Forget to ask for a vacation? People were worried, you know. Not to mention overwork to hell and back. Then overwork some more. Someone had to take over your responsibilities, and guess what? Just as we started digging into your work, some unexpected financial irregularities started popping up. We'll need to work on a common story to explain those, you see. You keep quiet and just stare him down. The poor idiot still thinks he's the predator in the room. Let's see how long it takes for him to realize his mistake. Newman senses that you're different somehow. He attempts to stare back, but fails to withstand your glare. He starts to wonder what's going on and quickly arrives at a conclusion. Wait a second. So you're the one who sent me that message? Now that's a laugh. He starts approaching you. Sweetheart, if I'm going down, you're going down with me. You think you could convince anyone that you never knew what was going on around here? Fat chance. Even if you did, you know my friends, they'd never let you live it down. He's right in front of you, licking his lips, pondering the best way to display his complete physical superiority. You won't give him the chance. Okay, so we can either use him like a punching bag, throw him outside the building, or scare the shit out of him. Before Newman blinks, you're standing in front of him with your arms crossed. After he blinks, your hand is already on his throat. He freezes up. He watches you get in his face and slowly brandish your long fangs. A loud, throaty, inhumane growl rings out throughout the office and begins to morph into a violent hiss. For a moment, your ex-boss can't identify the source of the overwhelming sound, or rather his brain refuses to accept that your relatively small body is capable of generating a noise like this. As he begins to understand the unnatural sight of your fangs, he is gradually overpowered by an animalistic fear that shatters his entire worldview. You were supposed to be the victim. Why are you the threat? Why did reality break? You slowly tighten your grip on his neck, not hard enough to trigger a fight response, but enough to strike deeper fear into his heart. This is amazing. Kneel. Newman complies with your demand, squealing softly, a single tear making its way down stubble on his cheek. Fuck. Obey. I'll do whatever you want, just don't kill me, please. You gather your strength and throw him, slamming him against his desk. Fuck. A born boardroom predator has met his better in the place he least expected it. You slowly start walking towards him. So stop, I get it, I'll do it, I'll fucking do it. With shaking hands, he scrambles towards a safe on his shelf, opens it and takes out some documents inside. This is what you want, right? This is what you want? You rip the papers from his hands and browse them. These should be enough to, as Cordelia put it, prove his penchant for embezzlement. I'll clear your fucking name, tell them somebody else. You twist your heel into his hand. He screams. I did it, I'll tell them I did it. You simply turn around and start walking away. You walk into the elevator. Oh, the achievement for this is called Consider This My Resignation Letter. Is that what it is? Yeah. You walk to the elevator, press the ground floor button and wave at Newman as the doors start closing. He mumbles something under his breath and winces in pain. Back at Quadier's car, once you close the door, he instantly puts his foot on the gas pedal. Walking off the pitch with no regrets, said everything you had to say? I wiped the floor with him and got the documents that should keep him in check. That arsehole will be looking over his shoulder constantly for the rest of his life. Quadier smiles deviously. Looks like you can take care of business, as expected. I don't need to tell you to hang on to those documents, but keep in mind that you can use them for more than a security guarantee. We're always looking for more contacts among the big fish. Oh shit, once you settle in, you can use what you know of Newman to convince the elders that he's better off as your ghoul. Now that's an enticing thought. You're surprised at his suggestion. The car speeds up to cross an intersection before the light turns red. You give Quadier a good hard look. Thanks. It doesn't feel like a, how do you call it, very vampire thing to say, but you say it nevertheless. He's visibly taken aback and his usual furrowed brow smooths out for a moment. Then he takes on a serious, slightly sorrowful expression. Don't suck up to me, kid. Mr. Bad Guy is still here, and without a doubt, he'll go back to decapitating suckers like you anytime now. The car starts slowing down. We're here. You look out the window and see your haven. Take care. I'll see you around. Just pray I don't have to see you too often. You leave the car and start walking to your haven, thinking about Quadier. Can't say you're fond of him, what with the welcome he gave you and all, but after tonight, you can't say you aren't either. You're gonna need some more time to understand him, that's for sure. Alright. There is this. There's a sleazy reporter from a gossip magazine sniffing around Sophie's haven. She could use help with the problem. Excuse me. The streetlights filter into the apartment in a stark white glow, as if someone was shooting a movie outside. The art pieces display a tasteful expense, entirely fitting the image you have of Sophie. Feels as if 1,000 sins have been committed on these premises, most of them under benevolent hospitality. Sophie comes to greet you as you enter the living room, shaking her head. Oh, for fuck's sake. You understand that people judge me based on how you dress, don't you? Sophie looks at your clothes as if resigned to your sartorial limitations. I've tried to dress inconspicuously because of the Masquerade. That's very sensible. I suppose I should commend you for that. She walks to the window and looks out, the streetlights playing on her features. She reminds you of a queen contemplating the unfortunate limitations of her subjects. You'd think that as a vampire, at least we wouldn't have to worry about the vultures of the press. Unfortunately, when you have the power and ability, there are always parasites trying to feed on you. Is there a reporter after you? Yes, terribly persistent creature. She steps away from the window and settles down on a sofa, a wine glass with red liquid in it. Blood, treated as not to spoil. You become good at noticing the scent, even from a distance. She doesn't offer you any as you cautiously sit down across from her. This awful man has been stalking my apartment with a camera. He's gone through my trash, talked to the neighbours. Please be a dear and explain to him that there's nothing for him here. Is this about the Masquerade? That's a big deal for us, right? Indeed, you're learning. This must happen often. How do you usually deal with it? Everyone has their own way. Sometimes the problem goes away with a bit of money or sharp words. Other times you need something more. Do you know anything about this reporter? Man, woman, young, old, anything like that? All gossip reporters look the same to me. Time for you to go. I have business to attend to. You leave the apartment as Sophie disappears into another room. You don't have a clear idea of the game she plays with the city's mortal and immortal power structures, but she always seems to be making a move. Outside the street there's a slight warm drizzle, the kind that gets under your clothes and makes you want to take a shower when you get back to your own haven. No reporters immediately jump out to you. You start with the basics of investigative work. You ask the proprietor of the bodega around the corner, the homeless man sleeping in a nearby doorway, and the doorman of another building whether they've seen anyone strange. Detective work produces results, because of course it does. You got the description of a man who sounds like a reporter. Older, overweight, pasty, and in bad physical condition. Professional camera. Once you know what you're looking for, it's not difficult. You spot a man who matches the description and follow him. You enter an alley. A dark, dingy space between two tall buildings. I fucking know what an alley is, game. Jesus. Once upon a time, a place like this might have worried you, made you think of muggings and violence. Now it's clear that the most dangerous thing here is you. The man you are following seems to realize this too. He holds his camera in front of him like a shield. Its heavy objective resting on his paunch. Paunch? Paunch. With a start, you recognize him. You remember the face, the shaded sunglasses from a picture next to a byline, and some trashy paper someone thrust in your face at a company party. His name's Frank Dougherty, and he'd taken pictures of one of your investors feeling up a sex worker at a nightclub. You'd been there too, and funny thing was, what Dougherty showed in that photo was just the tip of the iceberg. After all, work hard and play hard was the order of that day. Hey, don't go around scaring people like that. You're Frank Dougherty. I recognize you from that thing. You're a fake reporter, right? I'm a real reporter, damn it. Lot of scoops here in this dirty alley? Can't be a journalist if you're not willing to get your hands dirty. Do you live here? I'm working on a story about a local resident. Her name's Sophie Langley. Everybody knows her in high society circles. She's a redhead. Pity as a pritcher. Fucking pity as a pritcher. Pretty as a picture. And there were a lot of pictures of her throughout the years. That's the thing, in fact. Look at this. Frank pulls out his photos and starts showing you pictures. Some have been downloaded from news sites, while others are photos from society pages of newspapers from past decades. All show Sophie. She has different clothes, hairstyles, makeup, names, but the face remains the same. They're all hot. Other than that, I'm not sure. Come on, look at the face. It's always the same. So why does this matter? Maybe it doesn't, but people are always interested in staying young. 3 words. Extreme plastic surgery. All the celebrities do it. Only her doctor is better than the rest. You look critically at the photos of Frank's phone. For fuck's sake. Sure, I guess if you find who the surgeon is, let me know. I could get some work done. You're right, it makes no sense. Damn. So how would you explain it? Considered the possibility that these pictures are a hoax? Sure, anything can be a hoax, but I dug these old papers from the archives myself. I've got to have something usable. You look Frank in the eyes. They are red behind his shaded glasses, veins popped from years of neglecting his body. Suddenly he seems soft, easy to manipulate. His will nothing but plaster crumbling under your boot. Go home and destroy your research on Sophie Langley. As your vampiric gaze takes over Frank's mind, he feels less than a person and more like an automaton. A machine you can program. Perhaps this is why all the vampires are said to think of humans as nothing but animals. How can you consider someone a thinking person with free will when you can override them at any moment? Frank is mumbling, fondling his camera, inching around you to the entrance of the alley. He looks sad and worn as he goes. A man who used to be something. Now, just a shell. Feels almost embarrassing to use the powers of your blood on someone so weak. At least you're pretty sure he'll stay away. Problem solved, I guess. Oh, for fuck's sake. I do kind of want to get rid of... Oh, I guess we better do one of these, shall we? Juno, the notes. You find the mystery of Agathon's research tantalizing enough to pay him a visit. You know what to expect when you return to the small bookstore serving as Agathon's haven. Oh, son of a bitch. I just like fucking skipped a whole bunch. The cacophony of occult imagery assaults you from the book cover displayed on the window, but under the fake facade there's something real. This time the Buddhas and satanic Bibles at the storefront seem almost funny. Or perhaps they've just started to tune into the dry humour of these Tremere. Yeah, I'm sure that's the case after one fucking visit. Just as you're about to ring the doorbell, the door opens and Agathon storms out. You step aside, just in time to avoid him stumbling into you. Amanda, what are you doing here? Oh, okay, to help you like last time. Okay, fine, you're right, follow me. As he turns to go, Agathon looks almost pleased that you're here. Walks to his car with you in tow. It didn't occur to you last time, but it's a surprisingly pedestrian vehicle. An aging, mid-sized family sedan. You imagine what it would look like with a baby seat in the back. Opening the door on the driver's side, Agathon notices your look. Laugh all you want, but it's inconspicuous and practical. You sit in the car and Agathon starts driving in his usual careful style. At least you'll never be stopped by traffic cops. It seems Agathon is not interested in small talk. You decide it's best to let Agathon drive in peace. Agathon is very comfortable driving in silence. You look out the window, wondering at all the ordinary lives of the people you pass by. Suddenly, Agathon snaps you out of your reverie. Let me ask you something, Amanda. Do you enjoy the hunt? Yeah, I guess. Of course, I thought all kindred did. I mean, I feel guilty sometimes, but it's such a rush. Not all kindred enjoy it, but you're right, most do. There's something melancholy in Agathon's voice that you can't quite pass. You exit Manhattan over the Brooklyn Bridge and soon reach the site of the nightclub that seems to be your destination. It's on the riverfront, a converted former warehouse. After Agathon parks the car, it's time for you to enter the nightclub. You glance at the Tremere, evaluating him. It's obvious that this is not his kind of place. You may have worked in finance, but your colleagues got into some crazy shit if they did enough cocaine. You're not a party girl, but you don't stand out in a nightclub. Agathon does. I actually forgot what this whole story thing was about, but that's okay. There's a good chance the research notes are here. So we're looking for research notes? Yes, that's all you need to know. There's a line into the club. Looks like a proper night, even if, based on the crowd, this is not exactly a place for supermodels and celebrities. You walk up to the man at the door and smile. Hey, you remember me, right? Mind if we go in? The bouncer looks at you, taken in by your supernatural charisma. Doesn't matter whether he really remembers you or not. Sure, go right in. Have a great night. You walk into the club, ignoring all people standing in line. The music beats down on you, bringing with it memories of human existence. The first time you went dancing with friends, when you flirted with someone on the dance floor. This time it's different. You're a predator, and everyone around you is prey. Tightly packed, twitching sacks of blood and tissue. You sense the emotions of all around you. Blood tinted with happiness, lust, rage, jealousy, and love. A buffet of sensations. Focus. Keep an eye out for trouble, while I look for what we came to find. You nod and follow Agathon through the throng, trying to ignore all the warmth, flesh, and circulating blood around you. I kind of need to feed. That's what all this red crap on the screen is. You decide that the opportunity to feed is handed to you, and it would churlish to refuse. A young Latino man is dancing close to a beautiful, drugged-out girl. She takes his face in her hands and kisses him on the mouth. You slide close to them and sink your teeth into the man's neck. He moans from the pleasure of the girl's kiss, and the girl assumes it's because of her. You check to see that nobody's watching and lick the wound closed, before disengaging and returning to look for Agathon. You find a young, intense woman pointing a finger at his face. Agathon, you traitor! Don't you dare stand between me and what's mine. Look at the woman in surprise. Her appearance stands in contrast with the anger in her words. Juno, you know Aisling, or will not let you leave with the notes. Perhaps she won't let you leave at all. Juno pulls close to Agathon's face and stage whispers loudly enough for you to hear her over the music. You're still so brainwashed that you care about Aisling fucking Sturbridge once. Wait, you're still so brainwashed that you care about what Aisling fucking Sturbridge wants. I'm done jumping through her hoops. Don't know what I saw in you, Agathon. You're such a lapdog. Look, are we sure we want to talk about this in the middle of a dance floor? Do I look like I care about the fucking masquerade? Wow. I guess we're about to tear someone's head off, maybe? You look at Juno in genuine shock. From Sophie, you've understood that the masquerade is universal among the kindred. Juno, you don't mean that. You're not suicidal. Fucking watch me. Juno, please. Juno steps back, suddenly cold. Ignoring the people dancing all around, she stares hard at Agathon. Uh-oh. What's gonna happen? The past is past, the traditions are dead to me. You won't stop me, Agathon. I'll make sure of that here and now. You know I have the power. No, Juno, please! Agathon sounds panicked. He's not worried about his own survival, but the possibility that Juno is going to unleash a genuine masquerade breach. Is this gonna work? I never know if it's gonna work on other vampires. Calling on the powers of your blood, you step close to Juno between her and Agathon. Agathon was being an asshole. Don't hurt yourself to get back at him is not worth it. Okay. Juno looks at you in the eye and you can see that she's tired and scared. Defecting from the Tremere is not easy or safe. You're right. She turns to go, then stops and glances back at you. You should pick better friends. With that, Juno walks through the oblivious dancers towards the exit. Looking around, you realize that Agathon didn't stay to witness your exchange with Juno. Instead, he worked his way around the dancing crowd looking for the notes using his arcane methods. After Juno is gone, he returns, shaking his head. Notes were here, but not anymore. It's possible someone grabbed them when they hunted here. After making sure Juno is nowhere to be seen, you and Agathon push your way back outside. Outside, you walk to Agathon's car and drive back over the Brooklyn Bridge to Manhattan, heading for Agathon's haven. Juno mentions some very personal things. I trust your discretion is not discussing these things with Aisling. Of course. Your love life is your business. Thanks. After a while, you reach Agathon's haven and he parks the car. You walk to the occult bookstore and Agathon invites you inside. The smell of incense assaults you as before, making you grateful you don't have to breathe. You follow Agathon upstairs to find Aisling in an armchair reading an old book. She puts a bookmark in place as you come in. You were successful, I hope. No, I'm sorry. The notes were there at some point, but not anymore. That's a shame. I hope you don't run out of time. How did Sophie's little protege do? He turns to look at you. Well, surprisingly well. That's a surprise. I'll have to compliment Sophie on her choice. We met Juno. Fortunately, she couldn't find the notes either. That's interesting. The High Regent turns to look at you. What was your impressions of Juno, Fledgling? Angry. She's very angry. I don't know what the people did to piss her. I don't know what you people did to her, but she's pissed. What we did? Careful now, Fledgling. She made her own choices as bad as they were. Anyway, I have some things to discuss with Agathon. Run along now. You leave the occult bookstore, the cheesy, mystical music still in your ears as you walk away. You wonder what happened with Juno. Why she is so anxious to leave her clan. Can she really do that? Can you leave Sophie Services if you wanted to? No, I don't think we can. I don't think... It's not really like a choice, I don't think. Alright. We'll do... You know what? I might take a little break now, just so I can rest my voice for a bit. And then we will keep going in a bit. So yeah, I will be back in a little bit. Yeah, back in a sec. Okay, let's keep going, shall we? If I can get everything behaving properly. Alright. Let's do this nosy reporter thing again. The weather is cold and windy as you walk to Sophie's apartment. As a vampire, that doesn't matter anymore. You may have been saddled with eternal hunger, but at least you can ignore the wind chill. Just as you come to the door of Sophie's building, she storms out, murmuring into her phone. Oh, sorry. Yes, I know. Oh. What the hell? Yes, I know, don't worry. I trust you to handle it. You've heard Sophie talk to her associates before. It's always the same. Generalities and vague suggestions. Makes you think she's involved in mysterious machinations. It doesn't tell you anything. Sophie is dressed to kill, but there's nothing unusual in that. She likes to make it an impression. A black car with tinted windows is waiting for her in the front of the door. In front of the door. A chauffeur steps out to open the car door for her. Sophie notices you. I'm glad you're in the neighborhood. If you could look around one more time, that would be wonderful. You told me you got rid of that reporter. Turns out he's still here, snooping around. Sophie is very good at communicating disappointment. She doesn't have to do much to make it clear that she's unhappy to have to return to this issue. I'll take care of it. After tonight, he won't trouble you anymore. Good. Don't disappoint me. Porter talks his way into the building during the day. Once the doorman understood what was happening, he threw the reporter out. He showed old pictures of me to my neighbours. It's very awkward, you understand. Sophie disappears into the car and the chauffeur closes the door behind her. You watch as a sleek vehicle disappears into the Manhattan traffic. Just one anonymous car among many. Shit. Best sit down somewhere and devise a plan of action. We kill him. Problem solved. Go to a nearby... To do that, you have to hit the triggers, and it's so fucking sensitive. Slightest tap and it takes you to those menus. You go to a nearby diner, settle into a booth and order a coffee from the steely-eyed Latino waitress. As she brings you a cup, you describe Frank Dougherty to her on the off chance she's seen something. Just as she's about to answer, you happen to look outside. Something catches your eye. The diner is brightly lit, so you lean closer to the window to see the street through it. You got lucky. Frank is standing on the sidewalk on the other side of the street, looking at something on his phone. You slip out of the booth, throwing a few small bills on the table, mumbling something to the waitress. You step outside. For a reporter, Frank isn't terribly observant. You keep your distance, hiding behind people and cars. He doesn't look around. It seems like he wants to find a private nook to inspect the photos he took tonight. An alley, he ducks in, and you follow. Oh god, it's you again. Please, I'm working on a different story, I swear. Frank retreats deeper into the alley. Don't worry, Frank. I know all about why you're here. You do? I mean... Okay, I'm sorry I tried to bullshit you. Just tell me how I can help you. How come you're here? I thought we agreed there's no story. We dominated this guy, by the way. And he just, like, ignored it, which is strange. Usually when someone says there's no story, that means there is a story. I just couldn't let it go. Look, I don't want any trouble. I can see that you're serious. There's something to Sophie Langley. I think you know what it is. You take a long, hard look at Frank Dougherty. He's a tenacious man, but not brave. After the last time you met, you were sure he had been dealt with. Where did he find the courage to come here again? I like you, Frank. I don't, but sure. You don't give up. What's your real angle here? Everybody plays an angle. Oh, that's one of the things you learn in my profession. You're smart. You know that there will be others after me. If there's a real story, they'll come and find it. Your best shot is with a friendly reporter, someone you can trust, someone like me. So what do you say? Get ahead of the story. It'll be good for you and Mrs. Langley too. You almost believe it, but something about Frank feels off. Trust in your blood to convince Frank. You don't say anything at first. It's easy to dismiss Frank as a joke, a has-been. Yet there's something beneath his talk, another story. A moment of silence is all you need for your presence to properly register in Frank's mind. He's too weak-willed to resist. Someone's leaning on you, Frank. Come clean. What? No, absolutely not. Frank's voice sounds shrill. You know you got it right in one guess. Sometimes I just need the extra money, that's all. Now we're finally getting somewhere. There's a guy, he's paying me, that's all. But I can't talk about that. Oh, drink Frank dry. I think that's kill him. Offer Frank to work for you. Come on, you can give me more than that. No, really, I don't even know all that much about these people. You're a reporter. What do your instincts tell you? I'm not sure, I can't get a handle on them. I don't think it's blackmail, or a business rifle, or an rival. Okay, that's enough, I can't tell you anything more. You've got to consider the position I'm in. We're not done, Frank. Fine, I'll leave her alone. I'm done with this. It was all bullshit anyway. Tell Sophie Langley that you won't see me anymore. As Frank leaves the alley, you consider your victory. He sounded defeated, sincere. Is it really up to him whether he returns or not? No, he's being blackmailed for something. Obvs. You come back to your haven after a long night on the town. There's still some time before the sun comes up. But sometimes you just need a little break to relax, watch TV. Oh. As you hear the door to your haven, it's clear something is wrong. You hear moaning from within. Stepping cautiously inside, you see a man splayed on the floor. 40s, strong build, wearing a black suit. One of Sophie's servants. His face is a mess and a piece of bone is sticking out of his leg. The ghoul moans through his broken teeth, only half conscious. Just as you're about to do something, the door to the apartment flies off its hinges in a loud crash behind your back. Freeze! Don't move! Oh shit, we've been set up. Christ almighty, we've got our coterie to set up. We're being accused of fucking murder. We were accused of embezzlement like 2 seconds ago. You turn around to see at least 6 police officers storming your apartment. 2 point guns at your face while the rest spread out to check the other rooms. One of the cops pushes past you into the living room. There's a body here. We're going to need an ambulance. He's still breathing. Bewildered, you gather your wits. There must be some way out of this ridiculous situation. Please calm down. This is all a big misunderstanding. The cops hesitate and lower their guns. Can you explain what's going on here? As the rest of the police search the apartment, you decide the best course of action is to buy time. You're glad you followed Sophie's rule that a haven should never have anything that endangers the Masquerade in it. How can I beat a big man like that? Of course, miss. Is this your apartment, miss? Oh my god. So, suddenly you hear a commotion out in the hallway. Sophie walks into the apartment surrounded by an entourage of serious-looking men and women in dark clothes. Some of them flash badges at the officers present. You feel the power of Sophie's blood almost like a physical sensation on your skin. There's no saying no to her. This woman was with me when this terrible act of violence occurred. She has an airtight alibi. You've rarely seen Sophie wield the full extent of her powers. You're not sure how much is supernatural ability and how much is bribery and political connections. But it doesn't matter. The injured man works for me. He must be hospitalized this instant. If he doesn't receive a full recovery, there will be consequences. For 15 minutes, she watches Sophie imperiously orders the police officers around. Some of the people she brought with her also seem to be police, but you're not sure. You catch Sophie grimacing in the direction of an empty corner, and something tells you that there might be a third vampire in the apartment. Your stalker, perhaps. The injured man gets carried away on a stretcher. The cops leave without even checking your ID. That was amazing. I know. One of the perks of serving me is that sometimes problems go away. Your stalker was here, but now she's left. Her name is Adelaide Davis, in case you're wondering. A lunatic, truly one of the most pestilent clans. How can I stop this from happening again? You can't, but we can. I'll arrange a little chat with Miss Davis later. You'll join me in Elysium and deal with this problem like the vampire you are. With words. Sophie leaves you alone. The idea of spending a day in a haven that's just been raided by police seems risky, but you decided to trust Sophie's assurances. It's not like you have anything else going on. There we go. You've had enough of Adelaide Davis. It's time to head for Elysium and confront her with Sophie by your side. Visiting Elysium with Sophie is always a humbling experience. She's connected, well-known, important, and you're nobody. You've always known this, of course, but it's especially apparent when you arrive with her. Everybody notices her and she drinks it in like it's her birthright. Well, she is a Toreador, so it kind of is. That's Adelaide Davis. Let's go say hello. A Malkavian. Great. You spot a woman, Sophie. The woman Sophie's referring to. Adelaide, your stalker. Intense, dishevelled, young-looking. A Malkavian, if you've understood correctly. Wow. Okay, as you approach, Adelaide looks at you with undisguised hatred. My two favourite people. Love you too, Adelaide. Adelaide looks from Sophie to you and laughs mirthlessly. The sound is creepy enough to make people glance towards you. I'll never stop, you should know that. I'm relentless. What's this all about? I understand why you hate me, but why hate Amanda? Adelaide looks so angry. For a moment you feel she'll hit you, Elysium or no. What? As if you don't know, they called me a creep. It's very insulting, especially to someone like me. Was that why you're creeping invisible in my haven? Yes. Sophie sighs. You have to stop, otherwise I'll take this to Quadir. Do that. I have friends much more powerful than him. Right, okay. I'm sorry, I apologize. This is way past an apology. The harm you've done is irreversible. Adelaide locks eyes with you, ignoring Sophie. Let's talk later. We'll have some fun together. Well, that sounds not at all malicious. Adelaide walks away. Sophie watches her go before she says anything. She's a lunatic. They'll say all kinds of things. Don't worry about it. She knows that if she crosses the line, there will be consequences. Sophie steps away to chat with her friends, and you look at the kindred around you, wondering how many would really help you in times of trouble. Probably not many. Alright, time to meet the Holyman, I guess. Approaching the cathedral on the street makes you nervous. You've been here twice, and twice something bad has happened, or almost happened. In both cases, you ran away. Benoit suggests it's time to stop running and experience faith head-on. Perhaps he's right. Maybe it is cowardly to take refuge in rationalizations when you know what you felt. The holiness of the priest and your own damnation. Walking towards the doors of the cathedral, you glance at the bench where you sat when you first met Benoit. He's waiting for you, sitting and contemplating the cathedral's Gothic architecture. For the most part, the writing is pretty good. Sorry. But when you're reading it out loud, a lot of these sentences do run on quite a bit. I think if you're reading them to yourself, wouldn't be a big deal. But because I have to read them out, you kind of feel when it starts to just drag on a little too far, and it's, you know, when you have to like take a breath in one sentence, it's kind of like, well, maybe you could have, I don't know, shorten that up a bit. Oh shit, I pressed the wrong fucking option. Wasn't certain I even wanted to talk to you after last time. I understand. I'm happy you chose to come. Benoit looks different than before. Intense. Certain. You've had some time to think about what we spoke of before? I want to learn more about Cain, about where we all came from. All in good time. I have something different in mind for tonight, as you surely remember. Let's go see Father Anthony. It's best not to talk in the cathedral, so I arranged for us to come see him at his home. I have a carnival. That's fucking weird. Cathedral has become too exposed. That's what I thought. Some things are best done with privacy. Is Benoit going to kill this guy? Are we going to kill Father Anthony? You follow Benoit as he walks down the street until you come to his car. A surprisingly pedestrian family to Saint Anne. The essence of the Masquerade is inconspicuous. Nobody expects to drive a vampire to drive a car like this. Benoit drives north towards Queens. During these moments you feel most anonymous. Just another speck of dust in a vast machine where every action influences the whole in tiny ways. One thing you've learned about Kindred is that they are not lacking in self-regard. The prince of a cameral city is said to rule the domain, yet how much do they really affect mortal affairs? If you ask a vampire, they'll say a lot. Perhaps that's what made Benoit turn inwards. The futility of finding meaning in secret, predatory existence. Benoit steps in front of a red brick row house, a little run down, but probably not cheap. He notes your interest. Father Anthony comes from an old New York family. He inherited the house. When I first met him, I was suspicious, so I checked up on him. Despite the ways he keeps putting you in dangerous situations, kindred paranoia seems to come naturally to Benoit. Fuck's sake. Perhaps that's something you can learn from him. He knows we're vampires, right? Yeah, he knows. I thought so. He doesn't know everything I've told you about Cain and the First City and so on, but he knows we're no longer human. You follow him to the stairs, looking around for any signs of ambush. As you get to the door, the first signs of trepidation hit you. Discomfort, the pain that'll follow once you're inside. It feels like a physical thing, a burning sensation under your skin, in your blood. You look to see how Benoit is taking it. He's smiling, eyes closed for a second before knocking on the door. Almost as if he's enjoying the sensation. He might be like a masochist. Some people enjoy pain. Not even in just a sexual way, but, you know, mostly. It's usually a sex thing. Okay. The door opens and you see Father Anthony's kindly face. Your body feels as if in a vice. You haven't really been bothered by hot or cold since you were embraced, but now it feels like the surface of your skin is overwhelmed with sensation. The fear and terror are paralyzing. Yes. You barely hear Benoit's whisper. Come in, you two. I might not know much, but I know enough not to do this on the porch. Porch. Fuck. You force yourself to follow Father Anthony into the apartment. Despite the splitting headache and rising panic, it's hard to take in your surroundings. Everything seems to vibrate, seeking to engulf you. Framed portraits on a mantelpiece, a cross on a wall. A living room with lots of books, many of them old. I'm not sure I can offer you anything. You don't drink tea, I suppose? No, we don't. If this is holiness, why does it feel like pain? Oh, my child. I understand that, thanks to your condition, you're under unusual stress. Please, Father, we know this is difficult for you. You'll forgive me if I don't waste time. He looks pained, whether because of the rudeness or out of sympathy for your condition, you can't tell. He motions for you to sit down, but you and Benoit are both too agitated to do so. You feel trapped, like a moth being smeared against a burning bulb. It's hard to look at Father Anthony, but you can't look at anything else either. Benoit is starting to look increasingly unhinged. His eyes look as if he's seeing into some divine beyond, just outside the grasp of your senses. What? Now's the time, my friend. You have to decide if you're ready for salvation. Prove your faith by embracing the Father and let his radiance envelop you. What? Benoit smiles cruelly as you fall to your knees in front of Father Anthony. Startled, Father Anthony takes a step back. Benoit, what are you doing? Father, it's time to be redeemed for both of us. Benoit falls to his knees next to you, lifting his face in full embrace of the holy agony. Wait, I'm not sure I understand what's going on here. That's not right, Benoit. Everyone has a chance for salvation. I understand there's something in God's presence that burns you, but you can work through it. Please, there are many paths to salvation, and we'll find yours. I won't hurt you and your friend. He moans in pain, stricken with grief and disbelief at Father Anthony's refusal. Please, Father, they don't even believe, not truly. Looks at you and seems to waver. Even his belief in salvation has limits. Kill the father. I don't think we should kill the father. Seems like a bad idea. I believe, Father, I just need to find the way. Your response makes Father Anthony steel his resolve. He's a man of grace, and he believes salvation extends to everyone, even vampires. Benoit, your weakness blinds you. Sometimes a martyr succumbs to a special kind of vanity, where they imagine their pain is holiness. Yet our goal must always be to help our fellow man find the right path. Benoit is still kneeling. He looks at the father in confusion and surprise. Please, Father, forgive me. I didn't know. Shush, Benoit. We have time to talk. Meanwhile, I think it's better for your friend to leave. I can't claim to understand the effect I seem to have on your kind, but I'm not convinced it's all salutary. Go. I hope we can talk again someday. There is hope for everyone, even you. You're weeping, tears of blood staining your cheek. Staggering and stumbling, you retreat to the door, distance between you and the father already making it hurt less. You hear Benoit's whispered confessions behind you as you escape to the night. You're safe, but the implications of your experience are troubling. What does this mean? Whether practical or spiritual, it feels like you have to think about this for a long time. You're free to return to your haven, and there is a distinct temptation to keep the events of the night to yourself. Yet these events cannot be good for the Masquerade. Sometimes the right choice is to do nothing at all. You walk back to your haven, alone as usual, among the people who crowd New York sideways, even at night. Holiness hurts. That's the inescapable conclusion from what happened. Hard to say what words like salvation and damned mean in modern nights, but the way you felt in Father Anthony's presence is an unavoidable fact. Father Anthony and his faith is the key. You could walk into church and fondle a cross to your heart's content. None of that means anything. It's only in the presence of living faith that holiness becomes manifest. Perhaps one day you'll have the courage to go back to Father Anthony. I think I kept changing his name, didn't I? Anthony. Same difference, really. Sophie requests your presence tonight, and it seems urgent. You find her already waiting for you and clearly pondering something. It takes a few minutes of awkward silence before she speaks. I require your assistance, Amanda. There is a matter of great importance that I need to ask you to resolve for me. You'll find what I'm about to say surprising, I'm sure, but I need you to hear me out. I need you to contact an important anarch figure in New York City and arrange a meeting for us. Wait, I'm pretty sure we aren't supposed to meet with anarchs. We're at war, right? The prince does look unfavorably at those who meet with the anarchs. That much is true. You'll find that with this, as much as many other things, the Camarillah's policies have more than their share of hypocrisy inherent in them. It comes hand to hand with using medieval power structures. What we are forbidden to do, the prince may do willingly. Some of these can be done in the open, while others are kept secret as to not invite discord and discontent. I need to contact a man named Torque. He's an influential member of the movement, and like most, very suspicious of the Camarillah. That's why I'm sending you to extend my invitation. How do I know he'll even talk to me? He won't. Not yet, anyway. You need to start further down the chain, and with the right story to spin. From my limited sources adjacent to the movement, I've gathered that your best chances to speak to Torque is to first meet with his right-hand woman, Mia. She's a regular at a club called the Leech Pit. Ew. I think it would be best if you presented yourself as an anarch hopeful, a fledgling looking for a place to belong. Only after you talk to Torque. Well, should you mention my name in the meeting? Makes sense. If I'm open with, I'm with the Camarillah, they might cut me off. We can reveal our cards once I have his attention. My thoughts, exactly. After tonight, I suggest that we do not speak of this again until you arrange the meeting. There are many who would jump at the chance to use this against us. With Kaiser, you have proven you can get the job done, even if it requires additional legwork. Trust you to deal with this task as quickly and covertly as possible. Forgive me, but that's all the time I can spare tonight. Masking you is just part of a bigger whole. Trust me, it will all be worth it. Alright. I know you will. Check with Gregory for the address of the leech pit. Have Mia introduce you to talk. When she does, tell him I wish to meet. Let him pick the time and place, but let it be soon. If he proves too guarded, tell him I have something that will help him gather allies against Boss Callahan. That should pique his interest. Good luck, and obviously not a word about this to anyone else. Not even any new friends you might have made in recent nights. This stays between us. The way she says the final sentence suggests a not-so-veiled threat, but her warm smile belies that impression. You want her to keep trusting you. You wouldn't want to disappoint her. Gregory gives you the address. The club is in Brooklyn. Apparently it's some kind of heavy metal bar with dedicated concert space. Time to pay this Mia a visit. The place is teeming with people tonight. Oh fuck, that's loud. You arrive at the middle of the concert, the music is loud, almost deafening, and it takes you a while to get used to it. This is not your scene at all. You can barely focus through the noise, but you grit your teeth and decide to bear it. The sooner you find Mia, the sooner you'll get out of this hole. A group of a few dozen patrons are tightly packed together, and the smell of their sweat and youthful, excited blood overwhelms you momentarily. So with some difficulty, you turn to the task at hand. Holy fuck, that's so loud. That's obnoxiously loud, actually. You've heard your share about the Anarchs and how they fit into kindred politics, but you only have your short encounter in Corona Park on which you base your actual opinion of the faction. They might have been a horrible first impression, but you're keeping your guard up just in case. You walk around the club. There are a few side rooms and a spacious bar area. You listen in on conversations taking place with voices hoarse from shouting. Walk in on a particular sloppy threesome in the bathroom. Ugh, gross. And eventually hit the dance floor for a better feeling of the place. I like how it just used the word sloppy. Nasty. As the concert comes to an end, you witness one of the guests, a feisty looking girl, get into a scuffle with a much larger drunk guy. She doesn't seem to appreciate him reaching around her waist, slapping him with an audible crack that sends him to the ground unconscious. Two bouncers break up the crowd and pick up the drunk to carry him outside, without so much as questioning the woman. You get an inkling that she might be who you are hoping to find. You approach her as she's about to leave. Yeah, the fuck do you want? She's still seething and bares her teeth for just a moment, but you've learned what to look for in kindred. You're pretty sure she's one of you. I'm kind of new to this whole being dead thing. Care introducing me to the way you Anarchists handle it? Ugh, seriously, that's the best line you came up with? She doesn't smile, but she doesn't hit you either. Follow me behind the bar. She leads you through the bar to a back door that leads into a side room. Indie metal band posters are plastered on every wall. Some of them 20 or more years old, judging from the tour dates. So she probably like owns this place, right? I'll pump this back up. An old sticky table and some rickety chairs are the only pieces of furniture here. Sit down. Sure. Take a seat as the woman leans against one of the walls. Name's Mia. I'm guessing your visit here isn't a happy coincidence. I don't know you, so you're either new in New York or kept an outstandingly low profile. Both sound suspect. So before you take these pleasantries further, answer me this. Who do you run with? Camarilla, I guess, but I'm not going to switch. That's so. She looks you up and down. It's hard to read her. Okay, sure, I'll buy it. Let's get one thing out of the way. She leans in. This is some clever ploy to oust me from my domain, or if you're just here to spy on me and the movement, I'll make sure that you don't enjoy undeath much longer. Got it? You can tell it's a purely rhetorical question. Right, here's the pitch. The Camarilla like to think they're the vanilla option. What with... Prince Bitch Panhard pretending that they were always in charge, but New York has never been a fully cami city. They might have won the city in '99, but cams have had their asses handed to them many times over the years. Their movement has been, and the movement has been here as long as they have. LA moved to New York City before World War II, and that was a good while after I saw the Camarilla for what they are, a way to keep us all subservient and in line. Every tower will tell you they're the only safeguard for the traditions, but that's kind of the problem. There's only one tradition we in the movement feel should be respected. The Masquerade, obviously. Everything else, asked Prince, and should tell you it's the logical continuation of the Masquerade, but really, just a way to keep the elders powerful and in control. She grimaces. Here's the thing. For all the talk of us bloodsuckers being solitary creatures, we need a community to keep up the Masquerade. Community, yes, but authority, not so much. We need a council of peers to keep the assholes and power-drunk fledglings in check. Not a feudal prince to tell you where to feed and who to hunt down when they step on your toes. She takes a brief break from her indignant rant. So, you don't have a ruler? Ruler? No, but leaders? Sure. Most follow old boss Callahan's lead. You sound like it's most, but not you? Yeah, not me. If you're concerned about, being well received in the city, you should need to go through the Callahan. But if you're serious about the outcause itself, he's not your guy. Callahan eats up fledglings like you and shits out self-preservation. His position as Baron is mighty shaky now. Not least due to the fact he's backstabbed more than his share of allies. So he's doing what any other old fart in position of power would do. He's doubling down. Negotiations are out, intimidation is in. Tightening ranks is a precaution against the Second Inquisition. She surprises you by hacking and spitting on the ground in disgust. You spent time with the Cams. That should sound very familiar to you. He's no better than Panhard and her cronies at this point. No, you need to contact Talk. He wouldn't, and wouldn't you know it? It's your lucky night because I'm the lick to do it through. Why Talk? Why him? Because he's one of the good guys, or at least as good as we leeches can be. Talk is a leader, a local baron who's overseeing a small domain, but doing a very good job of it. Callahan knows this, so he's giving him shit. Talk is taking it like a champ. Ouch. Oh. I think I just skipped something. No. He's smart like that. For one of us rebels, he's got the patience of a saint. Makes you think back to how things used to be way back when, if the story is believed. Anyway, you want to meet him? I'm going to require a show of goodwill first. That's fair. What do you have in mind? She flashes you a mischievous half smile. I appreciate your readiness, but I don't have the details just now. Ask for me at the bar when you're able. I'll leave something for you and we'll take it from there. Now come on, I gotta go. She walks you out of the bar and you go to your separate ways. Seems like there's nothing more to do than return here later and see if Mia really can help you contact Talk. This fucking guy again. I thought we were done with this. Hello, sleepy baby. You're just leaving your haven when you notice a small note slipped under your door. You pick it up cautiously and fold it open. I know what you are, I know everything. Meet me at the Beautiful View Motel or everyone else will know too. The note is signed Frank. Cursing under your breath, you check the Beautiful View Motel. It's located in Queens. Getting there will take some time, and something in Frank's note suggests urgency. You run out of the apartment. Stepping into the Beautiful View Motel, you can't help but think that the name makes promises the building fails to deliver. Outside there's nothing but an ugly parking lot, empty, the paint marking the parking spaces is almost completely worn away. Standing in the lobby, it feels like there's decades worth of stale cigarette smoke. You're happy not to be able to breathe anymore. The furniture looks like it was picked from a yard sale in the 60s. There is something appropriate in the grubbiness of the surroundings. They fit the image you have of Frank perfectly. It's appropriate to find him in a place like this. You nod to the old woman manning the reception desk. She seems totally interested in what you're doing. Her eyes glued to the small TV perched on the desk, a cop show. Walking deeper into the motel, you find a lounge that might have aspired to some kind of lavish comfort in the glory days. Now it just feels sticky, like you need to wash your clothes afterwards. Frank sits on a bar stool, with no bartender but Frank. See, like, with no bartender but Frank has a shot glass in his hand. He looks even sweatier than usual. What's up, asshole? How's it feel not knowing everything? You stop and look at Frank a little bit closer. He seems drunk. Not a good sign. Despite everything in your early encounter, he maintained a baseline of professionalism. Careful, little man. Push me again and I'll push you back. Fuck you. If anything happens to me, all your secrets will go out. All of them. You stop to consider what to do. You're not used to dealing with Frank in a mood like this. He seems more confident and depressed at the same time, as if he had a secret that gives him power but also brought him down. You're holding an empty hand, Frank. You think you'll have all the cards, but you don't. Better just spill what you know and this will go better for you. This is weird. He's like changed on a dime. This is very strange. Tough talk. Maybe I'd have been impressed by that before, but not anymore. Frank sounds like he has plenty more bitterness inside him waiting to come out. Let me tell you something else. An ear-splitting sound fills the lounge and bright flash blinds you. For a second, an irrational panic grips your dead heart. Is this sunshine? Are you going to burn to death in a cheap motel in Queens? As your vision adjusts, something whizzes past you. There's a series of thunking sounds, something impacting the bar. Frank is lifting the shot glass, miraculously still in his hand. A massive bloodstain spreads across his shirt. Oi! No. Go back to sleep. For a bizarre, incongruous moment, you stare at the thing sticking out of Frank's chest. It's a crossbow bolt. Another two lie shattered next to the bar, having missed their target. One missed you by a hair's breadth. Turning around, you see figures dressed in black tactical gear storming into the room. In eerie silence, perhaps the flashbang damaged your ears. They drop their tactical crossbows and lift up rifles. Who comes prepared with a crossbow? Frank slumps to the floor. A wooden crossbow bolt would paralyze a vampire, but struck through a human heart it kills. The scent of blood fills the air. Okay. These are probably vampire hunters, I imagine. You're a vampire, one of the kindred. Fuck it. What's a few bullets you'll mend? A man is lifting a rifle to shoot at you. You can't see his face through the visor of the black helmet he's wearing. The rest of the attackers are equally anonymous. 3 men and a woman look like they're going to attack a terrorist base or a vampire nest. You run straight at them, jumping over a rancid sofa. The man in front fires by reflex and you feel one of the bullets tear into your stomach. Oh well, nothing important there anymore. There's a big window right in front of you, on the other side of the lounge. It's been covered in black plastic sheeting, having been broken, and now waiting to be repaired. That's the shortest way out. You don't stop to think, running right at the black-clad figures in front of you. First man fires his rifle, hitting you in the shoulder. Your assailants step back, trying to establish a field of fire where they don't risk hitting their friends. You use this moment of hesitation to run right through them, jumping from a sofa to crash through the plastic covering the window. Just as you hit it, the attackers start firing, bullets from their sleek black rifles shredding the plastic to pieces as you crash through it, stumbling to the curb outside. Oh shit, I'm going to need to feed again then. Takes you a second to register the bullets that hit you in the back. You're wounded, hurt, but no time to think about that now. You have just enough time to take in the parking lot. There are 4 SUVs parked in the motel's front door, all black with tinted windows. Man and a woman, middle-aged, dressed like detectives, stare at you in surprise as you run past them. One tries to yell something as you stumble to your car, wrench the door open and turn on the ignition. What are you doing? Don't. For a terrifying moment, you fumble with the keys, but then the car starts and you floor it, careening into the highway. As you drive away, you check your wounds. You're healing the damage you sustained, but better stop by your haven for a change of clothes before you see Sophie, even if you are in a hurry. You run into Sophie's building, tired and hungry from mending your body. Doorman looks at you anxiously as you dash past, unconsciously sensing your bestial nature. You pound on the door of Sophie's apartment, more for the sake of your own nerves than because you think it's any help. Caught her on a night off. She's having she's like chilling. And you're like, I was just nearly killed. After a few moments, Sophie herself opens the door and looks at you in surprise. She doesn't have her makeup on and her hair is disheveled. You've caught her on a night off. What happened to you? As you step into the apartment and follow Sophie to her living room, you see the remains of a party. Empty glasses, faint smell of blood, have no time to contemplate Sophie's social life, however. It's an ambush, they were prepared, you were compromised. Oh fuck. For a moment, Sophie's facade cracks. She looks tired, then she rallies herself. Sit down and stay calm. I'll check whether this apartment is still secure. You sit down and suddenly conscious of your vast gulf in experience between you and Sophie. She managed to stay alive for a very long time and she knows how to survive. Your only hope that you'll survive along with her. For the next hour or so you sit on Sophie's sofa. Answering minute questions about Frank and the commandos who assaulted you. At intervals she makes murmuring phone calls to mysterious contacts. After a longer while, Sophie lets you go. You should be safe, and more importantly, I should be safe too. What the fuck? I've taken measures to secure both our havens, but keep your eyes open nonetheless. You leave Sophie's apartment wondering whether you'd survive another ambush like this. Probably not. Oh, we're back at the leech pit, aren't we? Fucking thing. Oh my god. Sorry, something's not working as it should be. Anyway. You arrive at the leech pit. Oh, for fuck's sake. You arrive at the leech pit, finding it less rowdy than last time. The bar is still packed, but the dance floor is empty tonight. Instead, the old, crackling speakers are playing music that would probably sound like noise, even on high-end hardware. Mia is nowhere to be seen, but you remember she requested that you ask for her at the bar. You approach the bar as the bartender finishes pouring a beer for an older guy in a faded, fraying Iron Man t-shirt. She turns to you. What can I get you? Hey, is Mia around? No, she's not in tonight. She looks you up and down and a spark of recollection shines in her eye. Oh yeah, that's right. She takes a well-worn book from behind the counter, some kind of vampire novel, and flips through it. She produces a piece of paper from between the book pages and passes it to you. She told me you'd be interested in reading this. You find a relatively quiet corner and take a look at the note. T wants to meet you. I'll arrange it, but you need to prove you're trustworthy. Look around the leech pit for a guy named Bruce. Buff dude, tattoo sleeve on his right arm. Retainer. Human who serves a vampiric master, kindred rarely go without at least a few of these, more than both for convenience and protection. 90% sure he's somebody's retainer, sent here to spy on us by the cam. Get me the name of his master and write it on this card, then return to the bar. Doesn't take you long to locate this Bruce guy. Sits alone in a corner, 2 beer glasses already empty on the table. You take a moment to consider your approach. So this means I don't have enough blood. I do need to drink though. Okay. You figure you have time to time to feed before confronting this guy. You keep your eye on him, but look for a good opportunity in the meantime. Wouldn't you know it, a half-passed out patron near the toilet is almost begging for somebody's attention. You prop him up as if to help him stand straight. His breath reeks of alcohol. You bite into his neck right above his tank top. Careful just to drink a little and quickly. You don't get to enjoy the full palate. It's the closest to a beer you've had in a while though. The man slumps in your arms, mumbles something under his breath, and you settle him down gently near the emptied kegs in the back. Somebody will come pick him up, for sure. Temporarily sated, you turn your attention back to the task at hand. That's when you lock eyes with Bruce. He's been standing there, just meters away for a while, you think. He slinks away through the main area and walks outside. He knows what you are for sure. You follow him out, expecting to have to run after him, but he's there, having a cigarette. Yo, I had a feeling you'd join me. You smoke? He pushes the lighter close to you, the flame triggering a primal fear in you that forces you to take a step back and bump into another patron who's just leaving the bar. Didn't think so. Staring at me in the bar before. What do you want? I know you serve a certain individual. I need that individual's name. Not gonna happen. He flicks the cigarette at you and you flinch. It's all it takes for him to dash away, much faster than the human should be able to. He's bolting alright. Bruce, stop. Simple command, obeyed to the letter. You approach him and drag him into a nearby alley. He snaps out of your previous command, but now there are only a few meters between the two of you. Listen, your cover's blown. I was told who you are. You better come clean, your master's name, that's all I need. Bullshit. Besides, you'd kill me if I told you, and I quite like being alive. Oh, I mean, intimidate him or just beat him up, whatever. You clash. You're not great at trading blows, but Bruce clearly doesn't feel comfortable fighting a woman, and with your powers, his punches barely register anyway. Takes a few moments to beat him into submission, but a precise kick to the groin sends him to the ground. His face swollen and his hands protectively placed over his nuts, he gives in. Ah, fucking bitch, what the fuck do you want from me? Your master's name. Now. It's Samira, alright? Her name is Samira, just fuck. Leave me the fuck alone, you goddamn psycho. Oh, you throw one last blow at the pathetic asshole's extremely punchable face for good measure and make your way back to the leech pit. Time to leave something for Mia. You borrow a pen from the bar and flip Mia's note to the other side. Bruce mentions a she, so his master must be female. If that's all you've got to go on, you figure it's better to leave anything for Mia than nothing at all. In the past few nights, come with Samira. That's what he said, though. Hold on a second, she wanted me to pass something on to you. Produces a cell phone from behind the counter. It's ancient, at least 15 years out of date. Oh right, and this. An old charger for the piece of junk in your hand. They really did think of everything. She said she'll be in touch. Takes you a moment to remind yourself how to operate this thing, and you find that it's a phone. Book is blank, there's no Wi-Fi connectivity and no save messages. It's got a version of Snake though. Bartender is already over at the other end of the domain, taking orders from patrons. With your analog contact nowhere in sight, you decide to move on for the night. Hopefully your educated guesses based on the scraps of info you collected will be enough for me to call you. Jesus fucking Christ. That's a lot of talky. Oh god. My jaw is actually hurting. Oof. Alright, just give me a second. What the fuck? Ticket. Oh, whatever. Sorry about that. I guess we'll go with Hope. The other side of Hope. Hope is about to head into the city, accompany her and see her true face. When you get to the internet cafe, Hope is already waiting out front. The sight catches you off guard. Part of you suspected that she might be more of a shut-in. My haven is my castle type. Perfect timing. We need to go for a ride. Get in. She doesn't wait for your response and jumps behind the wheel of a lavender vintage roadster instead. The engine starts roaring unexpectedly, causing everyone's head to turn. Not wanting to attract needless attention, you quickly slip into the backseat of a car. The moment you shut the door behind you, the vehicle sets off, tires screeching. Sorry for not bringing you up to speed first, but hey, this is New York City. Everyone's always in a rush, and this is even more true when you're kindred. Oops. Now let me take care of some business and I'll be right with you. Even as she's zooming through traffic, she's still on her phone, of course. Nice car, how do you afford that? Thank you. The lavender really brings out its character, doesn't it? About affording things in the city, it's pretty hard. You gotta be on the top of your game at all times. Might as well explain my business plan to you while I'm at it. So, another extremely online malk based in New York goes by the name Dev Null told me to Google Ethereum a few years ago. That's how I got into Bitcoin. And I found a new religion. 23-year-olds selling versions of selling visions of government replaced by benign code and decentralized consensus masses ruled by algorithms as much as just as laws of physics. Idiot man-child investors trying to shape their realities through sheer fanatical zeal, and dedicated collectors of things as abstract as rare SHA-256 decryptions. Her driving style is far more aggressive and dangerous than you're comfortable with. Is it just you, or does she peek into the rearview mirror more often than she looks straight ahead? A hyper-speculative environment where nothing has real value, or only abstract beliefs matter, and your life savings could be ruined by a single bullshit tweet. How could I refuse the allure? Oh, she's talking about fucking Bitcoin. Oh, fuck me. I started buying low and selling high on a variety of shady 24/7 exchanges that allowed me with 100 times leverage, as in they'd led me 100 times the capital I could bet with. I got lucky at the beginning and kept the ball rolling, shorting and longing, impulsively and recklessly. I got to the point where I became too big to fail, and that's when I cashed out. The car comes to an abrupt halt. You bump up against the seat in front of you. Okay, this story will be continued later. Wait here. Oh, we're here, right at our first stop. You need to do me a favor. Favor? What favor? Nothing too difficult. Literally a jump in, jump out kind of deal. See that weird guy in a Yankees cap standing around the corner? Approach him, tell him you're at young, hot, petite... What? Petite Ingenuine, whatever. Take the phone he gives you and bring it here. Young, hot, petite genie, whatever. Keep going, honey. It's illegal to park here. You jump out of the car and approach the man Hope has pointed out. Not a lot you can tell about him based on his appearance, aside from the fact he looks pretty shady. The guy assumes a comical, threatening pose as you approach him. The hell do you want? I am that. Oh, gotta admit, I had no idea what ingenuine meant, so I had to make sure. I was just about to Google it, you know. Takes a phone out of his pocket and covertly passes it to you. Everything has been prepared and preloaded according to your... Oh, my cat just bumped my fucking controller. Ugh. Should take about 2 minutes to transfer. Now get out of here. The man walks away with his exaggerated hip-hop gait. Jump back in Hope's car. Got the phone? You're the best. Pass it to me, please. She connects the 2 smartphones using cable and begins some sort of data transfer. She looks like an identical model. At a minute or so, the process is complete. Alright, goodbye, lovely. You've served me well. Hope opens the car window, grabs her old phone. You're not expert enough to recognize the exact model, but it definitely looks like it had an $800 price slapped on it. Tosses it out of the window. Surprised, you look behind you and see a car in the opposite lane run over the abandoned device. Hope notices your quizzical look. I've been needing a lot of burner phones lately. I'm not going to use some cheap piece of shit, so it's a pretty expensive necessity. Intersection, red light. She takes advantage of the moment to shoot a driving selfie that strategically excludes her face and upload it to Instagram. You notice her handle there is for Sace Beauty. Now, I'm just telling you a story. Cashing out. Right. At some point toward the end of 2017, I became convinced I needed to cash out. There was no way the bubble was going to last forever. Always knew there would be no grapes of wrath for the cryptocurrency era. It would be a series of profoundly antisocial, disconnected events. The whole crypto culture was a decentralized church of lone millennials who rejected all established modern values and kept atoning for the original sin of not buying Bitcoin back into 2013. Another abrupt last-second turn. You're pressed against the window. What the hell is with her driving style? Better life you never wanted to live anyway, and get a chance to win a priceless pile of nothing. Untether yourself from all worldly desires. Find joy in suicidal ideation. This day, money holds no real value for me. It's an abstract as a video game score. Bunch of numbers on the screen. This joyless world changed me forever. I knew I had to escape. So I took my piles of fictional dollars to a new arena. Elite New York City social circles. Not because I wanted to scam them and make more, but because I wanted to finally have some goddamn fun. I mean, of course I had to scam them in the process, but it was only in service of becoming something more than a star. A constellation. Another abrupt stop, this time next to the entrance of a shifty looking back alley. 70% of this game is back alleys. We have spent an astonishing amount of time in them so far. Alright friend, this time you're leaky gut syndrome. Whistleblower extraordinaire. Whenever a press sneak fuck wants to leak, you've got it. Got it? Sorry for putting you out there in my place, but I only personally contact people as a last resort. It gets harder to protect my identity each time I show my face. Since I got you, our man is waiting for you in the back alley. He's paying back a favor with a flash drive containing crucial information. We need to stay safe in this city. Retrieve it, I'll circle the area, make sure we aren't in danger right now. When you're done, get back here and I'll pick you up. Everything clear? Good. Exit the car and see it drive away in a hurry, then head into a narrow passageway. Sure enough, there's a man waiting for you at the end of the back street. Unshaven, wearing wrinkled clothes, with a nervous eye tick. Looks even dodgier than the last guy you met. When you approach, he gives you a mean look. You lost or something? I'm leaky gut syndrome. You said you got a little something that might interest me? Of course, straight to the point, aren't you? Alright then. Clumsily, he produces a USB stick from his front shirt pocket and holds it before your face. When you reach out to take it, he pulls his hand back and gives you a sly grin. Getting all this data was risky, you know. Miss Montgomery is an unusually secretive person. Digging up dirt on her took more effort than I expected. Effort that should be rewarded, I think. The more you ask around about her, the more you expect a letter saying, "Give up your inquiries, which are completely useless," at your doorstep. Perhaps attached to a severed cat head. Catch my drift? The secrecy surrounding her screams, "Friends in high places, brave new world order, Illuminati shit," you know? Makes me think I deserve some hazard pay. Suppose you're right. What do you want? His eyes wide and grin ear from ear. Not much. I think $5 grand should be a worthy price for my services. Alright, it's a deal. I'll transfer the money to your account later tonight, provided your data is legit. No worries, no worries. I don't disappoint. Just don't fuck me off over, alright? You know I can keep on digging up useful stuff. Extends his hand, holding the flash drive towards you again. You take it. Oh yeah, one more thing. Not really sure what it's... fuck. Not really sure what it's about. One of my informants claims you might be interested in this. He reaches into his inner pocket and presents you with something wholly unexpected. It's a bag of blood, labelled simply as ABRH. You take a close look, but it doesn't appear to answer any of the questions that just appeared in your mind. Was that fun? You peek into the journalist's cold blue eyes and you see them twitch uncontrollably. Don't ask me, they just said you'll know what to do with it. Leaky gut, come on, take it. Sure. Fine, I'll take it. You grab the bag. Anything else? Yeah, I don't think so. Thanks for your cooperation. Another eye twitch and an awkward silence. You hide the blood bag under your clothes and leave the alley the way you came. Hope's car appears behind the corner just as you walk out onto the street. Doesn't even fully stop when you approach, but slows down just enough so you can jump in. The moment you close the door, she leans into the gas pedal with her full strength, causing the engine to roar. Her driving style definitely doesn't reflect how laid back she seems as a person. We got it? You throw the flash drive onto the seat next to her. Perfect. What the fuck was that? Was that my phone? Perfect. Any problems? How'd the meeting go? You relate the entire back alley encounter to her. Toward the end of the story, you notice she's not staring at the road or phone, directly at your face. The realization startles you. You've got the bag of blood. Placed to the seat next to her, she peeks at the label. She looks at it again. Then she steps on the brakes. Fuck. I'm okay. She grabs both the bag and the flash drive you've obtained and throws them out the window. Looks like that's her favorite method of taking care of problems. Oh shit. That blood bag was a message. AB negative used to be my blood type. It's the rarest one, found in less than 1% of the United States population. Glad you didn't drink it. Who knows what they could have done to that bag? Some New York City vets can tell you wild stories about about using irradiated blood to locate and kill other kindred. Seriously? Glad I didn't drink from it. Better safe than sorry, yeah. Still, I wonder if they would have done anything to his blood. That'd be some kind of dimensional chess move. Yeah, this contact is compromised and needs to be cut off. Goodbye, my journalist frenemy, and goodbye, dear Leaky Gut Syndrome. You've both outlived your usefulness. After a brief period of hesitation, she deletes the whistleblower extraordinaire account and sighs. Another one bites the dust. Thinking about what to say next, you remember that you promised the man Hope would transfer $5,000 to his account later tonight. When you're done relaying the story, she chuckles. You're really horrible at the art of the deal, aren't you? I suppose the silver lining is that I don't have to worry about that anymore. Still, looks like I'm in bigger trouble than I expected, but never mind. We've got one more planned, and then I'll explain everything. One more stop planned. Well, after we finish this, we'll call it. I can feel my voice box trying to crawl out of my throat and jump onto the fucking table. So we'll call it after this. Got another story to finish. I was talking about Bitcoin and then where did I stop? Becoming a constellation. Oh right, you know what? Who saw the real face of the city? Anna Delvey. Ever heard of her? Russian working class girl. Worked as Anna Sorokin. She moved to New York in 2013 and convinced everyone that she was an insanely rich trust fund kid. A wealthy German heiress. Manhattan elites totally fell for it, and they bought it for years while she swindled them. She only got arrested in 2017 after having stolen almost $300,000. Sorokin created her Delvey persona out of thin air, convinced everyone that she was going to set up an art fund, and kept tasting all of life's finest pleasures while being basically broke. She even made up a fake family financial advisor and then killed him off when he became a liability, and apparently most of her rich victims never admitted to being scammed out of shame. By now you're sure. The way she scrutinizes her surroundings, her reckless driving, she's trying to escape somebody. Now Delvey's locked up with murderers in Rikers, writing her memoirs, apparently picking a lot of fights, bless her heart. She'll forever be an inspiration. But I have more advantages than she ever did. I have my own considerable funds, and I can rely on many more made-up people than just some old-ass financial advisor. A whole bunch of fake content creators and influencers that every rich dumbass wants to get in touch with and collaborate. Makes it super easy to earn more money than I invest. You've seen it firsthand, both as the deceiver and the deceived. In a city of illusions, make non-existent money, come up with fictional status, play nonsensical camera games. And one day, you might just find yourself at the top, alright? Oh, at the top. Alright, we've reached our last stop. You look around, you're coming up on a parking garage. You're going to take an elevator to the 70th floor. Give the masked man you meet in front of the door this memory card. It contains an art house movie I've made. What do you mean by art house? You see me rehearse it in my haven. You know what I mean. You don't think I was doing that just for show, did you? I found some filthy rich Manhattan pervs who'll pay a fortune for a convincing vampire cam show. Don't need the money, but their IT industry connections gave me an idea. When we give them this memory card, we'll gain access to tech that should allow us to take on my biggest enemy in the city. So your nickname this time is going to be... a crash. You're momentarily dazed and can't immediately understand what happened. First thing you know for sure is, if you were still a normal human being, you would be dead for sure. You replay the last few seconds in your head. The other car appeared out of nowhere and crashed into Hope's vehicle at maximum speed it was able to achieve in this closed-off space. The driver has already managed to kick open the mangled door next to him and stumbled out of his seat. Now he wordlessly approaches the trunk, takes out a large caliber silenced pistol out of it. He starts approaching the lavender wreck of Hope's car, obviously ready to finish the job he started. You have to be fast and violent. It's you or him now. Your instincts take over. You don't come up with a strategy or optimal route. You simply start running towards the gunman, yelling. For a split second, he's completely dumbfounded. Then he opens fire. Bullets put a brief stop in your sprint. You're engulfed in pain. Your flesh and clothes begin shredding to bits. But when his magazine runs out, you're still standing and determined to move forward. The sounds of us beating some guy up. He tries to act as quickly as possible, but he can't reload his weapon before you get to him. A tackle, a primal squeam, a woo. Left punch, right punch, left punch, right punch. You return his cruelty tenfold to his face, and when you're done, his head barely recognizable as human. You stand above his body, trying to calm yourself and your killer instincts. That's when you hear her voice. Ugh. Hope slithers out of her car and stands over your assailant. Huh, you did pretty good. She approaches the body of the driver you killed and kicks it so she can take a better look at it. Upon seeing the front of the corpse, he lets out an annoyed grunt. Knew it would be this asshole. He's been following us all day, and I know just who he belongs to. Even though she's done talking, she's already trying to reach someone through a video call. Eventually, she succeeds. You see a nonchalant woman in business casual on her smartphone screen. Kara Montgomery, may I help you? Kara. Hope. Didn't expect you to ever reach me through this channel. Have you thought things through? Wait, something happened? Oh. Uh-oh. Did something happen? Your fucking ghoul just tried to kill me, you crazy bitch. That's what fucking happened. Calm yourself, for Christ's sake. This is a baseless accusation. I know he's from Double Spiral. He's been working at your motherfucking company. Come on, you know I can't be held responsible for independent actions of my subordinates. Why don't we just meet up and talk it? Hope disconnects the call and instantly blocks Kara from contacting her. You corporate shithead, you make me sick. Tired, she turns her gaze to the dead ghoul. I'll dispose of him. Help me put him in my car. 30 seconds later, his body is laying on the back seat of the lavender-coloured wreck. Okay, good. Take a look at the scene of carnage in front of you. Every second we're here gets us close to a serious Masquerade violation. I'll have to exchange my Palme d'Or worthy masterpiece for the goods some other time. She gets behind the wheel and you follow her inside the car. Meet me in my haven when I tell you it's safe. For now, I need to dump this arsehole somewhere, get my car fixed and plan our counterattack. You guide Hope to your own haven. She drops you off and before she leaves, she makes this about to come perfectly clear. She makes what's about to come perfectly clear. If we want to survive in this city, Kara Montgomery needs to die. She disappears into the traffic and you disappear into your place. Okay. Oh god, that's a decent enough spot to leave it, I guess. Oh, sorry. Sorry to cut this off a bit shorter than usual. Just like having to read constantly is a lot. I don't really know how much of this is left. What the fuck? The thing I read did say like 6 hours, but we've already passed that by about an hour or two, so which is fine. Yeah, just having to read pretty much non-stop is exhausting, and I'm noticing I start to trip over my words the longer we get in, so these will probably just be shorter. Tomorrow, what day is it tomorrow? It's Thursday? Thursday. We're gonna play some more, what is it? Metal Gear, so that should be good. I'm actually quite excited to see where that goes. So, yeah, thanks for watching, appreciate it very much. Enjoy the rest of your day or night, and I will see you when I see you. Okay? Okay. Bye bye.